Hey everybody, welcome back to X is for Show, your premier media response show. You can check us out on all your social medias at X is for Show. As for me, I'm Nico, and you can check me out on all your social medias at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. And do we have a show for you? Do we have a show for you? Yes,
I think we do. Oh gosh, I hope. I spent my weekend gay camping, and so so I definitely need a show to ground me back to reality for a minute.
Kevin and I were stuck at home, but all the cool husbands went gay camping this weekend.
That's pretty hot.
That's true.
It was a really good time. I got to be honest. Big thumbs up to camp out in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Super good time up there. Very hospitable environment.
Well, maybe sometime we'll have to do a camping stream. That would be fun.
Yeah, and I promise I didn't mean to buy the hat with the logo of the camps club. So
club. That's fine. It's mine now.
Is it a sex hat?
So let's talk for a minute about today's question. Today's question is spectacular, and today's question is: which one of these shows would you most want to be on?
You're saying these, though.
Oh,
you have to
today's
make a
show.
list. Yes.
Well,
so...
I mean, we're talking about the reality TV shows. So the big three are going to be Drag Race, Project Runway, Crime Scene Kitchen.
Yes.
I think there might be a couple others that we've covered broadly in these past few weeks that maybe you could throw into the mix. But, of everything, of those three, it's tough. I would most want to be on Drag Race and be successful.
I said bye. Today's bye topics. Sorry, everyone. I'm not changing it.
No, don't. No. Let's be bye all the time. I would most want to be on Drag Race and be successful, but that is the one where I would do the most poorly for sure. I would kind of similarly want to be on Project Runway, and I have no talent, and I am, like I said, I'm always in sweat shorts and a hoodie that is 2 minutes away from collapsing. So I have no sense of fashion, but boy, do I wish I did. And I just feel like if I could get 30% more sense of fashion, I could bullshit my way through the rest. I think I could psychologically ruin Brandon Maxwell and just make Nina love me. That is my demographic.
Probably.
Elaine, I would have trouble, but so that's the other one. This is probably going to do the best on Crime Scene Kitchen. This is also probably going to do the best with Joel McHale. I would scream back at him.
Loud!
Yeah, exactly. Yolanda
I have to say, in defense of your sense of style, though, you would... That's actually how a lot of the designers dress. So I wouldn't feel too bad about yourself.
There's also, we're going to talk about it when we get to the episode, but a lot of times I'm like that, nothing that anybody said makes sense to me. They're like, this is hideous. You should know as a 20-year fashion person that this is literally a garbage can that you put a woman into. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful garment I have ever seen. And I'm just very confused a lot of the time. I'm going to just say Crime Scene Kitchen. Ultimately, if we could rewind 2 weeks, it'd be food trucks.
That's
my answer.
True. That's a really fair one. Am I going first or you, big guy?
I think I should just be part of the Drag Race staff composing music. Happy to write songs for these queens. I'm not here to compete. I already won. So I am here to be part of the team and just come by, say hey.
I know you don't want to do drag, but if you did, on top of the performance aspect, you would do very well. You would do very well in the show. You're also, your body hair situation is exactly right to be able to get into drag and not appear freakishly mannish when trying to give the female illusion. Not that there's anything wrong with having masculine qualities while doing drag.
Actually, so it actually came up this weekend. I was at a wonderful drag brunch, and boyfriend was like, if you ever need to do drag, if that's ever something,
he's so tolerant these
I would
days.
support you. And I was like, I love you for that, but like I'm a drag king. I'm about like this big suit and like I want a collar and I have a lot of fun with being a big loud personality and in my own way, and I think the art of drag is beautiful, but I just don't think it's me.
You're also
but-
ready to throw a wig on. Last comment.
No, I'm not. I hate wigs.
No, I'm saying because
no.
you're
Headpiece.
shaved head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you mean he's physically prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But in
it's
that
ready-
same
it's
way,
ready to
I'm
go
just
right
as ready for a hat. Like, and that's even something I think I'm trying to be really clear about. Like, it's something that is not said enough. There is more than one way to do drag. And that I'm even
Yeah.
just trying to be like, I would just present in another form of the art.
Yeah.
And I'm immediately hearing from someone who I know isn't intolerant. But but if you did drag, and I'm like, but I could be still doing drag, not in a wig.
I'm saying if you did female illusion.
And I
Yeah,
totally
no.
get that. But I definitely think if I did any kind of drag, I would be a drag king and I would celebrate this other really cool side of the art because I just don't think I have it in me I'm just not the chops to be one of the ladies. Keva, what's your choice?
There's another timeline where I feel like I would have been a fantastic drag queen.
I think you too. I agree.
I don't know if she's still in there. at the very least, she's definitely way too exhausted of the world. But which of today's topics would I most want to be on? I also like Teak find the Project Runway children frequently exhausting. Don't know if I have it in me to produce that kind of art. But Crime Scene Kitchen is always, even when the people are incompetent, a hoot, at least. Yeah, I'm in the mood to say Crime Scene Kitchen today. Why not? Bright lights, big ovens.
I think Crime Scene Kitchen could have an incredible crossover with Worst Cooks.
Yeah, I get that.
Or like Nailed It.
Well,
What was the other one that we were? Oh, Secret Chef. We were saying that it would cross over well with.
Oh, I have a whole monologue about those two, which we'll get to.
so then let's get into the episode, right?
Yeah.
Because let's roll into this amazing Crime Scene Kitchen coverage. Which, all right, so Crime Scene Kitchen, it's so funny because when you think about a show and you think about trying to come up with a host, right? When you ask me who should host Jeopardy, I am always like, yes, Blossom, right? When you ask me who should host Name That Tune, I'm like, Jenna Maroney. Yeah, Jenna Maroney should host Name That Tune. When you ask me who has the forensic detective skills of Pillow, Batman, and
Julia Child.
and Sherlock Holmes. And then when you ask me who has the culinary chops of a Julia Child, of Melissa King, of the Swedish chef, I think Joel McHale. I don't know how this man, who I don't believe has a degree in forensic fingerprinting, nor do I believe he is a Michelin chef.
I mean, what I will give to him is, as the former host of The Soup,
Yeah.
Food related.
he's
He's like a
He
poor
is
man's
a-
Bradley Whitford and Bradley Cooper. I always do that.
Bradley Cooper Whitford, an incredible
Bradley Cooper from
chimera
Kitchen
we
Confidential, which I just
created.
told Jonah about. Yeah,
Oh God, playing Anthony Bourdain, right?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get to how Joel McHale. So like, there's two things happening here. Joel McHale, like my pass for him is as the guy from The Soup. He is kind of invested in every form of reality TV show and has seen it all in such a way that I am comfortable with him hosting everything. Also, did you guys know that Sarah Hyland hosts Love Island?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that make you
Because-
want to watch it at all?
Well, a little bit, and it's actually really super sexy pants because her amazing husband is one of the pool boys over on the one of the Bachelors.
I think the Bachelorette after show or something. He's the Cabana boy.
His name is Wells Adams, which I always think
Oh,
is
yeah.
a special way you can order a drink.
Yeah, I get that.
I'll take it a
Anyway,
Wells Adams straight
2
up.
olives.
I would consider like a one-off for that because I know how much you love Sarah Hyland, and I just saw an amazing clip where one of the contestants sort of talks shit to her, and she really gives it back in just the most subtle, classiest way. And I do not care for Love Island at all, but I was just like, nope. I'm on it for this show. Anyway, like I also am like I don't really see Sarah Hyland as the host of this show, and yet somehow there's a sort of mix of charisma and understanding of the world that like you can kind of figure out how it works. We seem to be in this era where a lot of celebrities are trying to get their reality game show bag. And yeah, Jane Krakowski, Name That Tune really makes sense. Really, I do not feel Elizabeth Banks in
You don't think Elizabeth Banks is a great fit for a game show where people repeatedly get bonked on the head?
No, I don't. I don't think it makes any. She's perfect. I love her so much. The pitch makes no sense to me.
I don't know. Elizabeth
It
Banks
does
yells
feel
at you
like-
for not knowing basic things, and then you get hit on the head.
But she.
It does feel like one of those cases like how what's his name had Gong Show, where it's more like
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks wanted this and went for it.
Yeah, she wanted
That's-
a game show because the working
Yeah.
hours are fantastic. Also, Abbott Elementary with the stacking.
Oh, or Michael Strahan on Pyramid, because I would also get kicked out if I tried to climb him like the pyramid in Mexico.
I hate you. There are a lot of these celebrities that I do not feel like the initial pitch makes any sense, but you can see, you know, the show needs to be made. An attached celebrity is going to take it to a place where we might actually see it. And
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been Richard Blades who would have come in and he would have talked to you about all the cool ways that you could absolutely. I mean, why aren't you thinking about molecular astronomy? Big hair.
And I actually, in some ways, maybe feel that might have been to the show's benefit when we really get into the 7th, 8th, and 9th episode.
It's my turn. I'm going to pick what we make today, and it is going to be pudding in a pie dish topped with gummy bears. That is mine, and you can't argue with me because I'm tall. What do you mean there's going to be somebody taller than me this season? He's in the NBA, like the actual NBA, not like plays somebody in the NBA on a sitcom. Oh, and like you can literally see Joel McHale's uncomfortability not being the tallest person in the shot,
Yeah.
and it is something that as a person who loves his superlatives, when I'm not my superlative in this shot, I get it. It's not.
See,
a good,
but
it's not
that's
a good
really
feeling.
even part of why Joel is so weird too. It's not just that he doesn't exactly have the credentials for hosting a cooking show. It's, does this guy look like a foodie?
No,
Yeah,
he looks like Chip from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
And in the second season, he doesn't appear to have like done like an online class about bake. Like he doesn't seem to know any more than he did. He specifically maybe even seems like he did some drugs and knows less.
This handsome man wandered in off the street and won't leave
But-
until we finish judging this baking competition.
This whole thing is just so over his head. He's like charmingly befuddled.
Listen, I want to say, and I mean this very playfully because, you know, this is just my opportunity to say, please support the strike. The strike is a beautiful thing. It's about giving people who need funds for their work that they did. They were promised those funds for. And like, actually to mention something, you said a few minutes ago, everybody's looking for their reality show, their game show. Yeah, because you produce 186 of these a year. So if it runs even once a day, you're kind of guaranteed some royalty down the line. It's, you know, you can film 4 in a day and you can churn out, you know, years of, that's your house. That's, you know, that's your kids. And that's something we've seen on several TV shows where like on Episodes, which is a pretty terrific show from the creators of Friends, sort of, kind of, but it's a really terrific meta investigation of behind the scenes of TV. And they literally have to tell Matt LeBlanc, you haven't had a Joey in a long time, my friend. You need to take a game show because it's guaranteed money on the table. And that's what the strike is about. There are so few legitimate opportunities for even big name actors at times. And I mean that not like coming to defend the big name actors. I'm saying if we can even make a case for the difficulty the big name actors would experience, imagine what a nobody experiences. So, in a lot of ways, what we're talking about here is the necessity of the strike and why somebody like a Joel McHale might have taken 16 game shows in like 6 weeks. The dude was a regular guest judge on the aforementioned revival of The Gong Show, you cheeky monkeys. He
frequently was on To Tell the Truth as well.
He was frequently on To Tell the Truth. He was the host of Card Sharks, a deeply underrated game show. Card Sharks, which, okay, I just need to say, I commented when we watched Card Sharks that Alexis Gobb, the female card model, was so spectacular that I expected her to have a long career in game show modeling, which sounded like one of those stupid idiot things I would say. And then when Card Sharks was canceled, she became the new permanent model on The Price is Right.
I mean, that's a job. Some of these
the
shows
pipeline.
do require people. And, who the most famous one of all time, Vanna White, who blazed the path of if you show up to work for 20 years, they will eventually give you the same respect they gave Bob Barker when he was a 13-year-old boy.
If I just need to say, if you're looking for the gay New York equivalent, that's our resident weatherman, Sam Champion.
Yeah, God bless gay news anchors.
I always forget about Sam Champion.
I do not.
And as I mentioned earlier, Janelle James in Give Me the Name, the Stacking Show.
Quickly canceled, but stack things up. Yeah. I forget his name.
That's Janelle James is not a shockingly wealthy, but Elizabeth Banks already was doing great for herself. Alec Baldwin, Jane Krakowski's like a little more in the middle, but like still doing quite well for herself.
I'd like to think that 30 Rock money at least pays, Tony winner Jane Krakowski well.
Yeah, and she has Ally McBeal royalties, which for her probably are not the best, but that show made it to syndication.
I feel your description of Ally McBeal is being a bit snippy.
No. It's that her role.
That's her line.
He's making.
Yeah. But 30 Rock also got to syndication, so you too. So Jane Krakowski's doing well for herself. Alec Baldwin, plenty of money. They set themselves up for more income, and that's fine. Somebody like Janelle James, Abbott Elementary might be really good for her. It also might not, because the same reasons why people are striking. But she is a young, up-and-coming celebrity who it makes sense that she took a game show. Does she stack things? No, I don't think so. And I don't really... it's kind of... No celebrity can be the host of that show. There's nobody...
Cameron from Modern Family isn't particularly into dominoes.
No, I don't believe that Carson actually particularly wraps his own presents. I think his assistant does that.
I don't know. Gay men and wrapping presents, that one maybe, but probably not.
I feel, back in the Queer Eye days, I can believe it. Now I fully believe his assistant doesn't, and he's abusive.
Do you guys think that Heidi Klum really says, Howie Mandel, do you want to go to a talent contest and judge them? And they just go around America judging talent shows?
The Worm? Maybe.
Yeah, the Heidi the Worm for sure. And that's Heidi the Worm needs its own show. Sofia Vergara, same thing. I mean, there's all these people who it's like, does it make 100% sense? No. Do I understand why it's happening? Sure. Joel McHale stretches that about as far as it can go when it comes to him hosting a forensic
really
cooking
good mozzarella.
But like a really good mozzarella, you kind of love it no matter what. And he's good. He's a great host. His demeanor, his gravitas, his comedy, all these things work. I kept feeling like the show was missing its opportunities to figure out how to make that a part of the whole thing, both so that it would make a little more sense and maybe to be a disruptive element in a show that sort of maybe needs some disruptive elements to enhance a really fantastic concept, but that sags in the middle of every episode, and then as a result sags in the middle of its seasons because we get so rote. And the thing I said early when the last time we did an in-depth thing on this is the line of, if you guessed it right, you will have won, gets repeated so much, and we know that is the concept, and it's not a bad concept, but the fact that nobody has anything else to say in the script, and it just feels like, I know Joel McHale can deliver script lines that would disrupt the monotony of, but if you've guessed the right dish, you will be, safe from elimination.
There's a weird line, right? Because we're poking fun at the Joel McHale of it, but I think what we're maybe a little bit talking about is like, and I say this and this is the thing that I was setting up, the joke I was setting up, that I said that I'm really all about the strike. And, I didn't mean to make it sound trivialized, but my joke is sort of like, it would be really funny if like the coalition and union of bakers got to be like, hi, we don't think Joel McHale should host this anymore. He should either have to take a cooking class at the new school or... right? Because, the thing here is what Joel McHale is actually there to provide is commentary. I don't actually bake that well. I'd love to think I can. I make a mean one or two things, but for the most part, it's just mean.
Pineapple upside down cake.
I do an okay job, right? So, at the end of the day, it's really about these bakers, right? And one of the things that I think Crime Scene Kitchen highlights that few shows highlight is the actual creative thought process that goes into it. So often on something like Drag Race or Project Runway, what we get is a really simplified version of the sort of social experiment and psychological experience of the creator, of the designer, of the performer. And one of the things that this allows us is a way to see how they think. Oh, I see pineapple on this grater, grated pineapple. What's grated pineapple? And how some people would think like, oh, this must be part of the sauce. Oh, this must be part of a batter. Oh, this must be part of a frosting. Maybe it was really good editing. Maybe they had the same exact wording from every single person and they cut it just right. But I actually would like to think that some of what this showcased is the actual independent thought that influences the unique experience of each baker, whether it was early on the Basque cheesecake, which was just like, that was Barbie hitting 1 billion levels of insane, out of nowhere, good for you, you deserve this.
Changed our lives.
At the same time, there's, things like in the finale, 2 people guessed the right type of cake and pivoted away.
And no one got it. And no one. I actually can't even believe. Like, I was really expecting some kind of like sudden death bake or something. I really was not expecting. We're gonna ride this out with no one having guessed the item correctly.
I mean,
it almost doesn't feel right in a weird way.
The only reason I knew it wasn't going to be something like that was because it was intentionally too complicated to guess.
Okay.
With 3 minutes to do the forensics, you might have guessed that it was a dark and stormy cake, and you might have guessed that it needed some decoration. You might have even guessed flowers. You just simply probably could not have gotten that it was going to need fondant wood slats.
Like wooden bucket slatting, yeah.
Every now and then they're like, you need to design your family crest as a Basquiat painting in O positive blood. How
the crystal rock cake from last season, where like everyone got it, but I was like, never fucking heard of this. I wouldn't have gotten it, man.
I do, Nico, when you were like, something happens that makes for a really good finale. I think that was incredibly intentional. I think this was not, let's give them something really challenging that is also tough to guess, so that, it might put them off of, they'd be like, no, we couldn't possibly do that. We don't have enough time. I actually thought the first dish, the laminated dough dish, was going to be Queen Amon.
I like how you're trying to make it sound all cute.
Yeah, it's not cute at all. It was cruffins, which don't let them become a thing. Don't buy them. If somebody around you is selling cruffins, bully them. Cronuts
I heard you were so
awful.
mad.
Being in New York for the cronut years was horrible. And I'm not going to go through it again with a muffin. We're not doing that.
Can I tell you the hardest thing about the suburbs for the last decade? You know, COVID and the Trump years, all of it really nightmarish. But the hardest thing for me has been every empty department store temporarily turning into an escape room.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. I don't need these trend
Gotta
things.
stop.
We don't need escape rooms. We don't need cronut. We don't need to laminate dough into every single...
And you know what else I don't like? I don't like this modern rock and roll. And
No,
I also
sir.
have a problem with
It's
this
too loud.
television.
These kids are up way too late.
This internet, it's a fad.
If I can, I think what I want to interact with is you're not saying that there is no value to the cronut or the cruffin. It's just not exactly the kind of pastry that we should be testing on this show. If we're saying Yolanda Gamp and Curtis Stone are here, and 5 of these people all attended, Food Institute School, Paris, and that everybody goes to FIS.
4 of them invested money in a standard education. 2 of them clearly invested at least that much time in their own personal education.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, just like sort of a gimmick thing that like we don't have any. I mean, like the popover tin is like a really smart suggestion, but cruffins don't exist, so there's no. You can make them in a muffin tin. Like,
I love when they say stuff like they don't teach you muffins at baking school.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I saw them, I thought they were Queen Amman, which is an incredibly difficult dish, which I don't actually think you can make in the amount of time that you get in the crime scene kitchen. So I was actually like, they might. I'm interested to. That would be a really interesting wrinkle. There are a bunch of dishes where like you couldn't bake them in the time that you have, and I think it would be really fascinating for them to be like, hey, if you've guessed the right thing, you should realize there's a problem. And like the wrinkle is this is a 2-day bake or something like that. There's ways to futz around with the show a little bit. And so the cruffin, which like is really a delicious food abomination that I don't think we can really judge. It's weird, and I was bummed by the choice.
I'm starting to imagine like, excuse me, Mr. McHale, I'm so sorry, but all we found was lamb and Gouda, and I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to make with that. Sir.
I don't know. You got to figure it out.
But there's no lamb in
bacon. Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are describing an incredible episode for this show.
And to that end, I was trying to do my best impression of Fadi, who turned out to be the season's cutie. Just like a sweet little man and just a gay little like super hot dwarf prince. And I only say that because he is constantly standing next. He's not an incredibly short man, but standing next to Joel McHale and and Curtis Stone.
Yeah.
It's a anybody looks diminutive, and he actually makes the comment himself in one episode.
And standing next to Ricky. Remember Ricky?
Oh yeah. Oh, another cute boy. But I did think the winners I wanted from the first episode did win. I think the thing that's hard is a little bit hard here is I really found myself oddly invested in a team that really shouldn't win, and that's a little bit tough. So Amber and Yasmin had all the talent that was necessary, but the early rounds of this game were dominated by a team who failed to bake anything well. They just
guessed right.
They just guessed really well, which is a really interesting thing. It speaks to something that I see all the time. There they are, my girls, Steph and Cherry.
I think you're underselling them a little bit, but keep going.
I mean, every one of their bakes, they were told had a technical flaw.
Yeah.
Like a profound technical flaw. Like, this waltz is beautiful, but it's in 4/4 time. Like, technical flaw. Right. And I love these two, and I would have loved to see them in the finale and possibly not win against somebody quite as talented as a team like Amber and Yasmin. But the thing that these two had is something that I think I talk a lot about with show contributor Jonah, who's going to be on. That is, I don't think the people that win these shows are actually the most talented at anything. I think they're the most winnerist at this thing this time, because I think Steph and Cherry represent the very good at the test, not sure how to apply it in the real world sort of approach to science, and baking is a science for sure, that is necessary to research, that is necessary to evolution of idea. Do I think that they were the fourth worst bakers or the fifth worst bakers on this show? No, I think their baking acumen cannot be properly measured by this show. The same way Fadi and T were told no matter what they made, no matter how wrong it was, it tasted unbelievable, even when it was a giant penis. But that's what this show occasionally helps me see through what I was bringing up earlier, through their thought process. I see ways that every one of these teams is beautifully valuable and actually like sort of creates a microcosmic view of personality type in a way that very few shows allow you to demonstrate.
And I think you have kind of hit on a really valuable part of this show, that it doesn't still quite know how to
celebrate
and to bring to the mechanics and the fundamentals of the show.
The mechanics.
When we look at a show like Secret Chef really understood the fictional genre that it was aping. So like how are we going to use the tropes of a reality show but the references of a fictional show? That Sheffy is sort of a Miss Minutes Jigsaw type character, but is also a Joel McHale in function of being a host and an announcer. That
Joel McHale mixed with Miss Minutes.
Yeah. And Jigsaw.
Where's that AFI song?
Give it time. An AI will be producing it as we speak. That's the answer to that question.
An AFI album produced by AI.
An AI AFI.
Oh God! And it'd be all registered to the RAAA.
We did it. We made art.
If this
Juliana Margulies.
If this were aping crime procedurals,
Chung.
In the same way that Secret Chef is aping thriller and a little bit horror, I think it would start to really figure...
What's in the bento?
I mean, that's funny though. Like that would be a great line on a crime scene kitchen that had its stuff together a little bit more. I didn't get bored a single time during Secret Chef, even though it was pretty repetitive in terms of it's going to be this for this amount of time, then we're going to do the judging, then we're going to... They cracked on what you need to have as the repeating elements that can inject variables every time. And the problem with Crime Scene Kitchen is that it has a really smart, cool concept. The idea that you go into this kitchen and you try and figure out what the thing is and then you try and make it. That is such a cool idea. I do want to watch that. I maybe want to watch it for 30 minutes rather than an hour.
I get that.
Even like a streaming 33.
Yeah.
Just this 42 is not the right term.
And it's what I keep cutting is as soon as they go to deliver the thing, if I hear, you can tell if it's a yes or no for what the judgment is for the person. And then we do the monologue about how, if it is the dish that you've guessed, every single time, maybe 2 or 3 times, it just keeps coming up and up and up. And we know that this is the point. I know I harp on it, but it just so shocks me that nobody in production has any other ideas.
It's a really dumb comparison.
Yeah,
I finally watched the Amazon Cinderella last night, and I was like, this is pretty dumb, but it's pretty fun. But I think its biggest problem is it's 2 fucking hours long, and it could have been a tight 90.
Yeah.
And a lot of things could be tighter if they just cut a lot of silly, superfluous things. And you've been pointing out all summer how much that line bothers you.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, it feels like it's a stretch for time. It feels so mechanical and unnecessary. It's RuPaul saying every week on every foreign version of Drag Race, now a sachet is this, and that means this. We know. You don't need to explain. You explained at the top of the episode, and you're explaining every contestant. It's too much. It's too much.
Because on foreign ones, they don't fight as much, so there's not as much content each episode. I'm like only kind of kidding. They don't. The girls don't give us as much because they literally just.
Well, they really don't fight on this.
Yeah, they just go do their work and go home because they're not fucking Americans who are insane.
So what you're saying is people on Crime Scene Kitchen need to fight more, and then they'll stop saying repetitive lines.
Honestly, that is an option. Like, if they could take it the direction of get nasty, get dramatic, bring characters in who are going to fight, have some sort of like add another level to the Crime Scene Kitchen justice system that involves the contestants having to, you know, litigate with each other. I don't know. Like, I could wait.
Next season we'll have courtroom drama and arrests.
Call me if you want me to pitch ideas. I've got them. But
Paul Scheer plays the Mad Baker.
Yes. Oh my God. Him in the bandit's mask. Perfect.
Honestly, having somebody who is a contestant be like the Crime Scene Kitchen criminal. These are all free ideas. Take them. I don't care because I want this show to succeed.
Having the previous week's winner have to come up with a complicated bake and get coached by Yolanda and Curtis, because I will agree, the one thing that I think is occasionally a little tough is when Yolanda and Curtis are like, so if this if this is the cake, then you'll be fine. Maybe no one else will have guessed the cake either. I mean, maybe no one else will have guessed the cake.
Yeah, take that 10 to 15 minutes and have it be the mentorship of the previous week's winner, who will, exactly as you said, be the person that's doing the crime in the scene kitchen.
But you're gonna get stay-at-home dad in his first year of staying at home, and he's a cute gay guy, and he's just learning how to bake from TikTok, and he's gonna be like, icebox cake, and they're gonna be like, no, well, maybe add a twist, an icebox cake, and like,
I hate you.
That's all reality competition, though, as we will get to later in this episode when we discuss Down Under. Sometimes when you try to push a contestant away from their own bad instincts, they just will not listen, and there is nothing you can do.
Truly.
All right, so
twice this week.
Final thoughts on Crime Scene Kitchen. I love the winners. I wanted these to be one of my choices for winners from the beginning. Sad Steph and Cherry didn't make it to the end. Really glad T and Fadi did. Hey, Fadi, call me. And yeah, that's really it. Really enjoyable season. Love these hosts. Really want all 3 of them back for all the shit we're giving Joel McHale. He does a great job. We keep watching this, and we drop some other shows. So.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I really would love to see them shake up a lot of the fundamentals of the show and
mentorships.
I think mentorships is fantastic. Again, like, I'm not even joking when I talk about like the crime scene justice system. Like, get into the theme a little bit, figure out ways that you can introduce new
Curtis
mechanics.
Stone in a tight little cop uniform.
And I'm sure they
Maybe Curtis Stone doesn't come back and we get a baker that I can take a little more seriously. Yolanda Gamp, you're perfect. Never change.
Lorraine. Ooh, could we
Yeah.
just get Lorraine Pascal?
Imagine a world in which 2 women bakers are able to host a show, and it doesn't always need to be a man and a woman in a Paul Hollywood, Mary Berry-esque duo where the man is always like, "Don't eat it, it's raw," slaps it out of her hand.
And I'm sure Joel feels he's man enough to handle this all by
he
himself
can
anyway,
bring
so
all
it's
of the
fine.
testosterone needed. whether
I'm
it
Joel
is in
McHale, and
vials.
I can fit a basketball in my big hand.
Have every member of Community come guest star for a season. That would be fantastic. Or guest host for a season. I got lots of ideas. I'll pitch all of them. Please call me. But yeah, I do really
can we
still...
Can we start like adding things in though, like Danny Pudding?
I love it.
Right.
Allison Brie!
Allison Brie.
Allison Baked Brie.
Allison
Baked
Baked
Brie.
Brie. Perfect.
Yeah, Jello-ian
And none for
Jake-
Chevy Chase.
Jillian Jacobs.
No, we have 2 other. It can be Hot Breaking Bad Dad or Elroy.
Yvette Nicole Applebrown Betty.
Guys,
we
Keith
have
David
nothing
is
but
2
ideas.
first
Just
names.
call
I've
us
got
up.
nothing.
no, they don't get this anymore. Now it's ours, and you know what we call it?
What?
Community Bakery.
All right, Community. I was gonna say, yeah. I like that.
I was like, Community Kitchen?
Nobody
Community
can stop
Confidential?
us. It's just a word.
Crime Scene
I-
Community? It is.
I see Community. It is.
I do love Joel McHale as a host. I do think this is weird that he's hosting it, but of all the things that I'm trying to tweak about this show to make it an 8+ season reality TV show competition, I could keep Joel in. If we could acknowledge that it
My
makes no
favorite
sense.
Dolly Parton song.
If we could acknowledge that it makes no sense that he's there a little bit more and like have that be part of kind of the working philosophy of the whole thing, I think we could get there. But I do love him. He's great. This is a great show. Keva.
Yeah.
Hold on.
As long as philosophy remains
Doing
a
a
talk out
bit.
of cereal box.
I always got time for a bit.
Okay.
Jolene.
Um,
Joe, I love it.
Jolene. Yeah, I really feel like they tried to shake up the format a little bit this season with this self-taught versus classically trained, which is this giant thing that so many of our cooking shows did this summer. It's 2 at least, but that's still too many.
Hey,
and
but
that's
let's
not
celebrate-
really...
Yeah, it's a good thing, but
And that's not really a shakeup as far as this format. If they could do something to lean in more into the crime element or the mystery element or any of these things. I love our mashup ideas as well. I think mashing this up with Nailed It and seeing Joel McHale face off against what's her name? Who Jonah loves?
Nicole Byer.
Nicole Byer would be very
Yeah, they would be
interesting.
fantastic playing off each other.
Explosive.
I would love to see Nailed It crossover with Good Friday Mass. So I think the thing
Perfect segue for Drag Race, by the way.
if only. I think I just want to say Crime Scene Kitchen, love it so much. Gonna give this season a B+. Gave last season a B+. Celebrate these guys. Can't wait to see more. And I feel we all kind of feel that way.
Yeah, C+,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'm more like you.
I mean, if one of you would give it a C++, we can officially call that rating basic.
I don't like these programming jokes. Let's move on.
All right. It was a programming joke. Get it?
And now we move on in our programming.
Anyway, gosh.
Speaking of
I'm going to
Nailed
try
It
and use
and
that
Good
joke somewhere else.
Friday-
I think it's redistributable.
No, we're not doing these.
Okay. So
Was that another programming joke? You horse's ass.
All right. Anyway, I am
Good
Seabiscuit. Let's talk about some scripted shows. One of the things is I already mentioned the writer's strike, and I can't wait to mention it again. When we talk about the writer's strike, when we talk about the SAG-AFTRA strike, there have been a lot of talks that have gone a little bit well, a lot of talks that have gone a little bit rough. I just can't imagine that if opposite you, somebody's going, not just giving her whatever she wants, but I understand, we are looking at an actual shifting paradigm in the state of society, the nature of pay, the nature of how people want to pay for things. We're reaching a point where people are looking for certain things to kind of be guaranteed parts of society. People seem to think that sharing streaming is okay. And I'm not here to pass judgment. If what you live in is like a community polycule where many of you share a few homes throughout the year, where you want to log in maybe at one home, at a boyfriend's home, at the trailer, at the vacation, wherever you got places.
At the Mercury Inn in Portland, Maine.
And like, you got places. And that's the thing about this, right? This crackdown makes sense for the model of society that we're going by, but we're not really living the model that we're going by. So it's getting a little difficult to exactly understand what the executives think they're maintaining. I think it's a nature of the exorbitant kind of counterculture coming into focus in a lot of ways. There's so much money to be mined from people who were previously thought of as unincomable, and they're now being seen as people with income. And how do you program for people that are only really interested in one Disney Plus show and then want to disconnect because you've programmed for them, but you program for them 3 months of the year? And in fact, everybody programs for them 3 months of the year, and everybody works together in a way to only partially program against each other. And you wind up with these cycles. And so we're living in a world where the model we've been using really no longer fits the situation that's being provided for creatives. And so while we're talking about this strike, it's important to remember that a lot of scripted programming, films, and more are going to be delayed sort of indefinitely. And that's a necessary part of this strike. Now, it hurts, it aches, and it can possibly damage the quality of some outcome of work. But human beings' lives are far more important than work. And if that has to happen, it kind of has to happen. And so while dream projects would be really cool if they were made the way they were supposed to be made, yeah, I would love it if there was a fucking Alien 3 that was about Ripley going home on Earth. But it's not going to happen. So no more screaming about it, right? Yeah. And that's a little bit what we're talking about here. So while we're about to hit a dearth of scripted programming, we have a couple of cool programs coming up. Now, I don't want to say nobody else gets to talk on the strike that I am, of course, part of. That's right, you guys. I am not taking new television contracts or movie contracts right now. I leave my phone off because I don't even want to give these people the time of day.
You know, some people throw around the word hero, but so do I.
They're entirely correct. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine.
No, but like, it's really fair. We have so much crap to watch.
We do, and like that's part. It's almost. It is in a way refreshing. If I can take a silver lining out of it.
Don't listen to them. Think how serious this is and call your cable providers. We're not going to be fine. Everything's a wreck. Call and panic.
That's also true, but like Studio City is currently flooding right now. In that way, we are not going to be fine. We are going to burn in a wildfire, freeze to death.
What a time to decide you don't hate California anymore, Carly.
I don't hate all of California. I specifically hate LA, but I don't wish them floods.
Nobody walks in LA.
We could use a break. Getting a break from this constant cycle of stuff coming out, from the chaos and the cognitive dissonance of a model of, fall through spring television releases versus streaming doing whatever it wants.
Here's 4, here's 2, here's 1, here's 2, here's none, here's 2, have a good day.
Is it all in? Is it one per week? We just never know. And
why does everybody think every show's getting a secret bonus episode every time?
Truly, the ideas that we come up with based on insane things that happen one time.
It's like you think that Sandman's going to give you an annual.
I mean, it was cool that it happened, but the problem is now, I mean, it's amazing that it happened.
It was
but
Dream of
now-
a Thousand Cats. It's literally one of the greatest comic stories ever written.
Absolutely. But now, the fact that anytime something, remotely sci-fi fantasy comes out, somebody's like, well,
What if you did this instead?
Secret Invasion episode 6 is going to feature Nick Fury's son, Nick Fury Jr.
I've literally seen
That's
someone
an impression
say.
of me from the 4th episode of Secret Invasion.
I've literally seen someone say Subspace Rhapsody was great, but what we really need is a whole season of Subspace Rhapsody. Oh my god, nothing is ever enough.
Very plausible that they will be like, we're just gonna do, the cheapest, most cost-effective thing.
This is why ISPs need to be more selective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a break's gonna be okay. We have all of us have a backlog of stuff we haven't seen. All of us
equipped.
Could use the time to work on other creative projects. We could use the time to get on the same page about what we want this stuff to look like. Even, really technical, non-creative things. Like, right now, your only option is to subscribe to these things. And it's actually very easy to subscribe for the show that you want and then cancel your subscription that a month later when it's done airing, or however long. But there's so few options for just purchasing the thing. And there's just so much stuff like that we've got to work out. So a break is good. A break will be fine. And that said, like, we've got stuff. We've got Ahsoka coming out. We've got Lower Decks happening. We will feel this time when there's no new scripted content in a little while. But until then, we've got some of the big ones.
Speaking of the big ones, and what we've got until then, he's here, he's queer, he's a little early, he's got Muppety, awesome hair, and I know that we're going to talk about some stuff he loves, so it would be a disservice to our audience to not bring in the man, the myth, the Muppet, Jonah.
It is he! He's in the workroom!
I'm
Work
here in
girl.
the workroom. Yes, girl, go give us nothing. Like most of these people in Down Under. Oof. What a big ol' oof.
So where can everybody find you?
You can find me being a Muppet all over the internet at the handle @PeakJonah.
You guys heard that, dox him. I'm kidding. So don't do it.
You said it.
Yes.
You
because-
rally the people to do this, and then you immediately 180 when no one gave you a good response.
Give me
Jonah,
$1 million.
I just want to say,
If anyone comes for you,
it is Nico's fault, and he will not support you.
All right.
7 words in that chorus.
Until I start selling masks of my own silent mouth. I want to say, Jojo, we've already moved on from Grime Scene Kitchen, but if deep inside you there is a Detective Munch or an ADA Alexandra Cabot, or if you want to find your own, gosh, I can't think of Sam Waterston's character's name out of nowhere.
This is taking too long.
Jack. Anyway,
where's it
Jack.
going?
Jack.
Sweaty.
Crime scene, stab, go.
You have thoughts.
Do I have thoughts? Some. I thought this. Some, not a lot. I enjoyed this season.
You have 2 minutes. Go.
Okay. Oh, okay. I enjoyed the season for what it was. I don't know if there was as many entertaining people this season compared to last season. Last season felt they even set up this idea of this rivalry of professional versus home bakers, but the competitors here felt a skosh. I won't say uncompetitive, but there were not enough sour faces over getting something wrong. We had talented people, but nobody really seemed to fill into the idea of like making good reality television. I think everybody there was just to bake, and that's fine. I know I talk about this all the time, that I might flip flop on like No, I want it to be an actual competition. No, I want drama. I need the good mix. And I don't know if I fully got that from this season. It wasn't bad, but I really kind of lost a lot of interest when Steri, that's their ship name, Cherry and Steph got eliminated.
You got 1 minute.
They were my picks to win, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like if you have nobody to root for, you don't really always want to watch.
I have to steal one of his seconds. Black Excellence, I loved Yaz and Amber's beautiful speech.
That was amazing. So yeah, not bad. I would watch a third season, but I don't know, make it interesting.
He'll watch the third season, but if it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, he doesn't know if he's going to come back for season 4.
Yeah, like
I would watch Joel McHale hanging off a cliff. Yeah.
In the live action reboot of Between the Lions.
All right. So now to our next thing. I'm really excited about this next one.
The girls who gotta get it. The girls who don't. I'm just gonna say.
Well, that's always the way, isn't it? So,
that is this show. What are we talking?
Solar Opposites, a show I don't watch. So, love of my life, Dan Stevens, is joining the cast of Solar Opposites, or has joined the cast of Solar Opposites. So I'm now going to watch it. It's that easy. That is how you do it. I never really thought of myself as a guy who was like, okay, an actor can get me to a project. No, for Dan Stevens, I'll watch a bunch of seasons of a show that Dan Stevens isn't in to watch more of him in one season that he is.
And the fact is, he did such a great job. So, like, it's not even like it isn't worth it.
Well, I don't watch this show, so you guys who do have to talk about it.
I was waiting for anyone else to jump in.
So,
this is you two, just to be clear.
My hot take being, I find American Dad the better show compared to Family Guy.
At 10,000%.
Find Solar Opposites the better show comparative to Rick and Morty. Even if it's the same concept, Solar Opposites, like, just genuinely just makes me laugh very hard. This season, it was just everything about the season. I think you initially had this idea of it being kind of stacked against you because with everything that went on, the recast and everything, you're like, okay, you're kind of already starting off on your back foot. But they truly waste no time with anything, and I was really happy with its season. I'm not fully done yet, but everything I've seen so far makes me happy. I relate to Terry too much, and God, do I just want his shirts. I want every single Terry shirt. It's not even funny.
To jump back a step real quick, I just need to say that I'm half Roger, half Steve. That is my happy medium on American Dad, because if I had unlimited power, I would constantly be disappearing into roles and constantly hiding in characters in public. And
what's really funny about this show is you are actually very Corvo, which is not usually a type that I would associate with you. But I definitely think that you are very much that. So you're the Dan Stevens character.
Fun for me. All right, Teak, you had a thing, and I rudely American Dadded over you. How Roger of me.
I will say one thing I think is that in the comparison between American Dad and Family Guy, I think the one thing really working against American Dad is that it is significantly less accessible than Family Guy. Family Guy is so lowest common denominator in a way that, like, if your brain is smooth enough to do sleigh rides off of, you can still kind of get into the humor and get into the episodes. American Dad a lot of times is too smart for its own good in a way that, like, if you're kind of tuning out and watching it, you will not understand the jokes that they've been teeing up and what's happening. And I think Solar Opposites is the opposite. Rick and Morty really, like, it prides itself on being so smart, which is actually not that smart.
You do have to have a high IQ to understand Rick and Morty.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
hold on, I have to go to McDonald's because a TV show told me to harass minimum wage workers for sauce.
Which, just go.
It, it really tries to give you that idea that it itself is inaccessible, and you are really smart for paying attention to it, and like you really should only watch if you can dig into all the little details, because that's the only way you're really getting the full thing. Solar Opposites is actually just like an animated sitcom. Like it is again that very like just come. The concept might be a little bit like, I don't know about this, but what?
Watchmen is to Squadron Supreme as Rick and Morty is to Solar Opposites.
Yeah, basically. I like that one a lot. Also,
I
do
really
something Squadron
agree.
Supreme. Sorry, go ahead.
I really agree with everything you're saying about the Rick and Morty comparison, but it's even specifically in a positive way where
100%
Rick and Morty is so up its own butt, and there is a lot of continuity and ongoing story to Solar Opposites in a lot of really fun ways. But that's the thing, especially after this last season. I'm most excited for you guys to get into this show now that we've had season 4. Now that we know how Dan Stevens' performance as Corvo went, and now that we've gotten some development on some storylines that I was kind of disappointed by the development of in season 3, they developed in such a way in season 4 that it really brought back the levity of them, and the fact that even though there is a continuity, there is arc, there is story, they have a lot more fun with it than I think Rick and Morty generally does. Something that's really funny too is at this point, as much as I adore Solar Opposites,
Do it.
this
The proudest conversion of my life.
This is I was going to bring this up because this is coming up really soon too.
and
This is how
the
Harry
same
felt about
creator.
Scarlet.
And so it sort of feels like Mike McMahon was sort of like wanted to do something in this world.
Yeah.
Kind of like Seth MacFarlane creating the Orville because he never felt he would get a Star Trek.
Right.
And now Mike McMahon sort of did get a Star Trek here. And it is one of the best Star Treks.
J.J. Abrams getting Star Trek, and because J.J. Abrams only took
Star
Abrams
Trek because he didn't think he would get Star Wars. Yeah.
and then Disney was like, "We heard that you guys really want Star Wars over there at Bad Robot."
It's also really cool and interesting now that I have gotten into Lower Decks and seen all of it and have seen all of Solar Opposites. I wasn't really sure to what degree Solar Opposites was JJ Trek and JJ Abrams only taking Star Trek because he didn't think he'd get Star Wars. And then how does his Star Wars ultimately feel in comparison? How does his original art suffer? But I really think the two do stand independently enough on their own where he is clearly doing things with Solar Opposites that you cannot do with Star Trek, and thereby keeping his Star Trek still pretty pure and very much in line with the rest of the franchise. It never falls into parody in a way where it's insulting to this thing it's supposed to be a part of, which I love.
My favorite thing to quote from all of Lower Decks is the part that is possibly the most parody in the whole show when they kick it Ferengis.
Scott, get out of here! I'm pretty sure it's a Bolian. That is not a Bolian!
Anyway, okay, we have to move on to
Censors.
another show. We
Well,
have to.
real quick, I brought it up. Here's his face. This is Corvo now. So, like,
And he is perhaps the best
Upgrade.
performance of any comic book character by any actor ever.
and someday we'll finish Legion, I guess. Someday we'll finish it.
You'll be disappointed.
Like
Ugh, fine.
It
be the
unfortunately, I mean, like
sad
it suffers from the thing that so much of anything good on Fox does, which is that it can't go anywhere.
Can I say one more last thing about Solar Opposites?
Please, of course,
Of course.
you
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating things about this show that they somehow did so well is they also have some of the most interesting side stories in the entire world between the entire
isn't
concept
there,
of
like-
the wall.
about to say, isn't there like a First Peoples and the
Not
hold
even
on, wait.
just the wall,
Hold
but
on,
to
wait.
like. Go ahead.
the First Peoples in the cupboard? I had to think of a name that would not be
Oh.
offensive for that book.
The Native American in the Cupboard. Got it.
I mean, you
That
can
that
still
book
say
that people were
the
obsessed
name of the
with.
book is the name of the book. It's
10 Little what? 10 Little who?
The last
Yeah, That's
what?
what I thought. But no, I really get what you're saying. It's not even just the wall, and it's not even just silver cups, but it's stuff like the wooden city. It's these things where they like love to dredge up their own continuity in ways that are can be detailed, but are also just fun and light and still accessible if you're not as, aware.
And it's so fascinating how wide the world they make and where they choose to zoom in is still sometimes so interesting comparative to the show at large. And I find that as a very it's a very weird talent that and almost I want to say niche, because I don't think there's many other shows that have such dedicated canon to side stories that have nothing to do with the actual TV show. Nothing about the wall
Yes.
and nothing about Silvercuts has anything to actually do with Solar Opposites.
How many of the pupa's little daily adventures?
And also,
He just goes on these adventures to where he like ruins people's lives just so he can get a piece of candy or a Harry
truly.
Potter whistle.
or Harry Potter whistle. Also, huge shout out to Tiffany Haddish, who voices Aisha, a robot AI, who basically takes care of the family. They I very noticeably upped her role in just terms of how she appeared this entire season.
They must have heard our coverage of her in Haunted Mansion and knew what they had on their hands.
She had a full episode dedicated to her, and comparative to like one or two lines some episodes, she's in every single episode. And it's pretty great. She's great.
Speaking of great and in way more episodes than you ever would have imagined, I do need to push us along to our next show that TK has not watched. Yikes. I have long said that I think the smartest TV show on the air, the show that understands my sense of humor the most, is Only Murders in the Building. It is, season 1 is like literal. It's like Desperate Housewives season 3 first half, television perfection. There isn't a minute wasted. It's so, even the minutes that are wasted are world building. It's so exquisite. Season 2, very good. But struggles to maintain itself. I don't think that season 3 is like.
First off, are you finished with it?
It's not over yet.
Oh, they're doing weekly release.
It's weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Season 3 so far is the most engaged I've been on a mystery. The other mysteries are maybe more linear, but season 3, I think he was killed twice. I think there will be 2 different murderers. I think this motherfucker was killed twice. That's what I think. And God, I've never loved Mabel more. Oh God, and
Mabel Mora.
And Meryl Streep's musical number was insane. And Paul Rudd's monologue, forgiving everyone who's wronged him in his overprivileged life, was the moment of his career. This is the best season. I don't know. It's not because season 1. I don't know. I just wish there'd be a million more seasons of this incredibly perfect show. It's so special.
This show is so spectacular. These two, Kevo and Nico, can comment. Me coming in as a very big Selena Gomez fan. I grew up on Wizards of Waverly Place. I have loved her for years. I have defended her for a very long time.
I have long said that she has all the vocal talent of a kazoo, and so I've seen most episodes of Wizards of Waverly Place. Not my thing. I like the show. I like things about the not proper, but like really attractive use of the parents and the kids as being able to coexist. So I'm positive on the show.
The really attractive David DeLuise.
Oh God, David DeLuise. Yeah, they're really attractive. Brat, and I have to say, Jonah, I owe you a debt of apology. Like her acting chops on this show are Emmy nominated. I'm not even trying to oversell it. She is quite literally capable of sharing a stage with Meryl Streep in this show. And you were so right all along. My apologies.
Jonah was right all along.
Yep.
But I season 1 is great because I enjoy the twist of season 1. I don't know if season 1 Victim was my favorite Victim because
season 1's Victim is so interesting.
and then we get to season 2 where I liked the mystery.
The victim was annoying.
The victim was annoying, but the victim was also the victim was the victim for a reason, and I actually enjoyed getting to learn more about them, especially when they had the episode of like the day in the life of them. I did not like the ending of season 2. It was a really weird twist. There's even
it was like Mulholland Drive in 12 minutes.
I just rewatched the season 2 finale into the first 2 episodes of season 3. I haven't rewatched the 3rd episode yet, but I was gonna rewatch like all of it, and I was like, I'm drunk and I don't have enough time, so I'm just gonna watch these. And so rewatching the season 2 finale after starting season 3 cold, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I remember so little of what the fuck is going on right now, and so little of it is being addressed in season 3. It almost feels bizarre, but then I was like, but actually in kind of a positive, like, let's start a new season. Let's not harp too much. It's not that there isn't continuity, but like, yes, let's not continually drag the baggage from every last season into every new season. I think there are things that will probably be addressed over time and unfold over time. But, you know, for as much as this show returns to form in so many ways every year, it also keeps reinventing itself every year. And I love that.
Sorry, Johnny, I heard you open your mouth. You have a very distinctive, because I have a very distinctive, all right, same. Sorry, and I'm just going to pull right for a second. The other thing I just want to say that this show does that makes my heart sing, old people. Fuck, man. I think at 37, I am pushing death some days. And I hear my friends that are like 48 say to me, like, I'm almost dead. And here's Martin Short. And, you know, the fact that Martin Short, and I'm specifically focusing on Martin Short over Steve Martin, because I feel like Steve Martin perhaps has always had a little bit more credibility about his character. Here's Martin Short, who is a kind of like a veteran character actor. Steve Martin gets to play handsome, wonderfully talented banjo god Steve Martin whenever the fuck he wants. But Martin Short is quite literally human Gargamel, and he gets to play this brilliant character. And every minute of this show is a celebration of what makes these 3 performers geniuses. And it's just like one of those things where, like, they said there's no way that we can say goodbye to Schitt's Creek without giving an unnecessary, and I mean that kind of honestly, unnecessary number of awards for the final season. Any point in the series, yes, but everybody for that final season, probably not. I think if we're going to do let's just give out some awards because you buy them anyway, I would give them to these 3. I would figure out who you need to say takes, supporting for the season. But I just think this might be the best cast on television. Like, this is a Golden Girls level cast across 3 people. I don't say that lightly. I am Project. I goddamn love the Golden Girls.
I love the Golden Girls.
God, that is the greatest moment of my television life.
It was a beautiful, and the very deadpan delivery of "I love the Golden Girls."
He's so fucking wonderful. I love him.
This so far season 3, I've been enjoying it so much. When they introduced Meryl Streep's character, and they're going on about this character's backstory, and in my head I'm watching this thinking to myself, oh, wouldn't this be funny if this was Meryl Streep? This would be hysterical if this was Meryl Streep. It's not going to be Meryl Streep. Same. Literally, they're going through everything, and I'm like, this would be so funny if it was Meryl Streep. It's not going to be, but it would be so funny. And then it's Meryl Streep.
She was in this. We knew in advance, but I forgot because, like, I'm an idiot, so whatever.
I didn't. So it's Meryl Streep, and I fling myself off the couch because I'm like, how the fuck did they get Meryl Streep to be in this show?
Because one of the things... she and Steve Martin are good friends.
And it's one of the things about a program like this. Like, that's how they get Paul Rudd. That's how they get, everyone that they get. The young woman who plays Kimber was Ashley. She was in the original Broadway cast of Mean Girls as Gretchen. So I imagine there was some sort of Tina Fey connection there, and all these people are just flocking to this show because they love it, and you know, do good things with them first and foremost. But yeah,
Okay, TK, have we convinced you to watch what I think is the black and white, is the pound cake with streusel on top, is the well-baked banana bread with 2 layers of streusel using just perfectly black bananas baked perfectly.
You had
I'd love to
already
watch.
convinced me before the season started. It unfortunately just snuck up on us.
Yeah.
And we watch a lot of TV to do this show. It is a very busy season at my job, my day job. So yeah, no, this one I'm fully on board for. I just missed the cutoff for, getting through the first 2 seasons to be able to talk about this one. But yeah, I am all in. I love Martin Short and Steve Martin. I like Selena Gomez fine. I'm too old for Wizards of Waverly Place, and I'm too unadjacent for most of Selena Gomez's music.
I just need to point out that none of this is the funniest thing that Martin Short's ever done. I still think Maya and Marty is the funniest thing Martin Short has ever done.
Oh,
that is
not the Ben Foster, Kirsten Dunst, Mila Kunis disco film. Get Over It. That's not the best thing Martin Short has ever done. Ed Begley Jr., Swoosie Kurtz, Colin Hanks. Get Over It.
Bagley.
No, but I also
Shane West.
listen.
Get
I
Over
also
It.
I want to talk about the fact that we are living in a cancel culture, of course, but we are also living in a forgiveness foundation because we've managed
Reed
to
Richards
look.
started that.
Yes, he did with his son and
You have
Power
to.
Pack. Nothing weird
Reba?
there. I'm Reba. What I want to point out.
Oh,
is
Reba for
that-
Reed Richards. Sorry, please
What
continue.
I want to point out is that we have all gotten past Martin Short's awkward past where he tortured those little blue people. And instead, we're celebrating him for the man he is now. Changed his name from Gargamel, and he's just doing
Oh, I
so.
was like, what are you doing?
Last show I want to
A
talk
bit.
about, speaking of little blue people, is a show that I think other people have been excited about since Jonah was 5. But the rest of us, I think, kind of only got on our radar in the last 3 or 4 years. And that is, of course, the unbelievable fandom moment that is Ahsoka. And I need to say that it's the unbelievable fandom moment that is Ahsoka, because think about the last time Star Wars said, we love a female character so much, her name is in a movie or TV show. Obi-Wan is my favorite of the Star Wars shows because I would crawl on hot coals for Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan till the day I die. He is like my favorite thing in all of Star Wars. And the fact that it wasn't called Obi-Wan and Leia is the stupidest move they made in that whole fucking program.
Nah, she can have her own title.
She was just
Make
she should have
him
been
share.
in his too. Yeah, he should have shared exactly, and then give her her own. But her name should have been in there. She was just as much elite as he was, and that's how I feel about Ahsoka. Actually, as a balance, this isn't called Ahsoka and Anakin, even though evidently Anakin is going to show up.
Yeah, that's why I made this.
I showed you, Kevo, because I'd been I don't know. I kind of really enjoyed this celebration, and I watched a lot of the stuff live as it was happening. And
Star Wars Celebration, for anyone who's
Oh.
not aware, he means Star Wars Celebration, which is an amazing fan event celebrating Star Wars.
And I showed you, Kevo, the clip of everybody freaking out over Hayden Christensen and like the tears in his eyes, because like, guys, I remember Comic Cons where he was like getting booed as he walked to his table. And now the man is so celebrated. They're having him be the and in multiple live action projects. Like, and this is where Jonah, when I saw that you were in the ready room a little bit early, I was like, beam him up, because the thing that you offer here is a perspective that none one of the 3 of us can bring. Jonah, who did you know as Darth Vader first? Did you know it to be specifically James Earl Jones? Or did you know there was also like a kid version of him too, pretty much right away?
That is really fascinating because, yes, Jonah, you would have been about 2 when episode 1 came out, and you would have been about 5 when Hayden Christensen first started appearing,
This is how
And
our
then would have
dads felt
been-
about the Luke, I am your father bit.
and you would have been 8 years old for Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, I was thinking in terms of Ahsoka as the character, he was more like 10, 11, 12 when she debuted. But Hayden as Anakin Skywalker you were
His
like
whole life.
5. Wow. So yeah, excellent question. I just wanted to provide that further context.
Thank you
It's
so
really
much.
important to know. Yeah.
It's Jonah, it's
I-
one of the things that I celebrate the most about your fervor for fandom, because while you do come from a different age point than the three of us, your excitement is no less. You provide a unique vantage none of us provide.
For me, I knew that Anakin was Darth Vader, specifically because the first one that I watched, this younger version of him, the first Star Wars movie I ever watched was Attack of the Clones. When that movie came out, I went to go see it in theaters.
So you were
Or-
probably like provided with the information specifically, there's these movies from the 70s and 80s, and this is Luke Skywalker's dad.
And I went with my uncle, who's I think about like 10 years older than you guys, but would be someone in that idea of like seeing the original trilogy and being excited for it. And now they get to show, because he took me and his son, my cousin. We went to go. All three of us went to go. I had no idea what was going on, but I remember like certain things. I remember very vividly the other Jedi, who's the same race as Ahsoka, getting shot in the back.
The Twi'leks, the
Mhm.
Shakti.
absolutely most visually influencing minor Star Wars aliens I can think of.
No, did you say Twi'lek?
Yeah, is she not Twi'lek?
No, that's the two. That's like Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi.
Can you
She's
remind me of
Togruta.
these names?
Ahsoka's people, I believe, are the Togruta.
The
Or
Togruta.
something similar. And Twi'leks are like, she's like that blue lady that Dylan from House of X likes.
I'm sorry, they're not just two different shades of the same person.
No, very different
Ready?
alien
Ready?
species.
Hold
Yeah.
on. I've got the explanation right here.
For
Bless.
Ahsoka's? Nice.
He's
Hold on.
got great haircut. He's super smart, and he knows how to use Google. Gentlemen, this guy.
Twi'lek have Leku, but the Togrutas don't. Togrutas have Montrals.
It's actually a sparkling Twi'lek anywhere else if it's not from the Parisian district of Star Warsia.
Montrals are hollow and Leku are soft. The Leku are much easier to observe flowing through the wind or turned upside down in the animated series.
But this is evidently a thing that you can Google for.
Yeah.
Bless. Jonah,
Uh,
thank you for sharing that. Your
Twi'lek.
first experience. Oh,
Yeah, her. She got shot in the back.
yeah. I think I'm more into Twi'leks.
That's
I'm
not.
sorry.
And so you made the same mistake as Nico, though. That is not the same species
Yeah.
as
I think a lot of
it's
people
Ahsoka.
make that mistake.
Eh.
Hey,
I thought it
handsome.
was, but now that
Same mistake.
I'm looking at
Same
the differentiation of them, and then I remember General Grievous, and unfortunately thinking it was cool that he had 4 lightsabers.
No, it is cool.
It is cool that he
But
has 4
so-
lightsabers. It's just not cool how he got them. Like, it's great that we have 50 states. It's not great that we stole 48 of them.
That's my
But
I
second
mean,
so did-
it's one of those things where, like, I think people, like, bitter fans at the time really didn't understand that kind of the point was that it's not good. Like, nobody was like, we really hope you see this guy and think he is the most badass. Just because we had Darth Maul, who seemed really cool, and Ray Park is an incredible stuntman and martial artist, and just like the visuals and the makeup were phenomenal. After that, every Star Wars fan our age who really wanted to hate on these movies basically treated each piece of it like a monolith in which no one was capable of nuance. So it isn't at all possible that some of the villains could be campier and others really might be intended to be, imposing or threatening.
I think a lot of people did, yes, completely forget that the origins of this franchise and the concept are 1930s and 40s serials and campy Flash Gordon and
Yeah, it was what if I can have a
mustache
lady grab Flash
twirling-
Gordon's thigh? Exactly.
Yep, mustache twirling villains and exploding planets and just, silliness.
I love that Paul Lind is now narrating The Crawl. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Circle gets the square.
Terrific. All right. Okay. That brings us through that part of our show. I believe we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back. And that's going to be really exciting, right? Because when we come back, we're going to talk about Drag Race. We're going to talk about Project Runway. I am going to talk about how much I love a book that shouldn't exist. And we're going to have a real great time with the second half of the show. So don't go anywhere because these four handsome faces, they're going to be right back.
This was a fairy tale style anime film that used Mario as like the pieces for it. And it's why we had, this wizard that looks like a penis. And it's why she couldn't possibly end up with Mario because look at him. So instead we needed to have this weird
Princess
look like-
Bubblegum?
Thank you. I was literally about to say he looks like he's from the Candy Kingdom. You have weird stuff like Toad is a woman. You have Bowser.
You have the magic to turn into a teddy bear, but if I put you in a box when you're a teddy bear, I will be able to defeat you readily.
And who is
Girl.
this Miss Endless character? She
Yeah,
seems
that's-
like a nightmare. I
Yeah.
don't trust her.
No reason you should.
Whatever this is. And now I'm seeing leg warmers, so I'm realizing, was this Flashdance? I don't even know.
I think he's just supposed to be like a ballerina, like a pretty, pretty ballerina girl.
And it's funny, like the Toad is such a good example because this is so early on that we don't actually have an aesthetic standard for Mario stuff at this point.
So
That,
why
like,
not?
Yeah, because it is just so few pixels that depict what any of these characters are that if you decide when they're fully drawn it's this, there's really nothing that says that's wrong. By the time you get to Super Mario Land or Super Mario World I should say, it's clear enough that some decisions are starting to be made that you cannot change and that you can't deviate from so spectacularly, which is why the Saturday morning cartoon shows are very faithful and don't take the same type of liberties.
All right.
I want you to know that you a-holes almost made me miss my cue. Just for the record.
Listen. It's been a hard week. It's a hard week out there. It has been a crazy week on reality eliminations. And I just want to start with the fact that we do tend to partner our Drag Race talk with our Project Runway talk. They tend to go together. We're going to kick things off, I think, with our... Jojo, are you caught up?
Yes, on both Project Runway and Down Under.
Okay, let's start with...
first.
I want to start with Down Under. So let's kick things off with some Down Under. One of the things about this show that I love the most is I got a Spanky Jackson reference this Snatch game. Spanky Jackson is by far my second favorite performer to come out of International Drag Race so far. I have a lot more to watch, obviously. But Jimbo is my number one. I actually think Jimbo should do the "Is it Sia? No, it's Juliana Margulies." I think it should be just like, "Is it Sia? No, it's Jimbo's breasts," and it should just be Jimbo's breasts.
They just flop up. Yeah.
I really get Jimbo. Like, I've said that literally since I saw the first photo. When I look at Jimbo, I really get it. Like, I don't always get stuff that other people think is funny. I just don't laugh, but like when I look at Jimbo, I laugh and I smile and I feel good and I feel warm, and like that's actually how I feel about Spanky Jackson. So I just want to say one more time, Australia, we watched the whole thing in like 3 days, all worth it for Spanky, who was just so great. And if Spanky hadn't been there, it would have been worth it for Queen, who was incredible. And Art Simone was there twice. So anyway, let's talk about Down Under. I was both very excited to hear that this was a Snatch game. I was then confronted with the reality that this was the Snatch game. And I want to say that I also then have a Cardi B impression. What? Bodak
Hello.
Yellow. YOLO, I'm Cardi B. Cardi B, that's a me. I am a plumber named Cardi B. That's my
Wow, this
Cardi B
Donatella
impression.
is a great.
I was going for Mario the plumber.
Yeah, Donatella Versace.
Oh, great. Here's what I think. This was a rough Snatch game. Let's start weighing in. I did not feel the Brett Summers goodness. I was not Charles Nelson Rileying. There were good moments, but overall, this was an uneven performance from an incredible cast. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Jesus Christ, you stole the show.
Yeah, and when Jesus Christ steals the show, that says a lot, because Selena Estidi says Virgin Mary certainly didn't. There should be good celebrities in a Snatch game. It shouldn't all fall on Jesus.
I mean,
You praise his name.
we knew some stuff.
You do it.
We knew that Rita Menu had already been in the bottom twice and was in a rough state. We have seen that Bump of Love is having some trouble with what this show is. I think we were all a little shocked by Gabriella Labucci, and I think the fact that she was safe is a miracle that kind of speaks to the fact that there were just so many people that didn't do well that it was just kind of, pull out the bingo balls of who
should
in the bottom and who gets to stay.
Yeah.
I think it was really disappointing that Hollywood Star and Floor didn't do well. I think ultimately I wasn't even disappointed by Gabriella Labucci, because even though I had high hopes, she's clearly great at stuff and just didn't get this. This is just, if it was a bad day, or maybe this just isn't her place. I mean, I think her directions character really probably was the better idea. She missed that hint.
Sat Nav Lady would have been really, really funny.
I think RuPaul has always regretted shitting on Maria the robot and it turning out to be such a good choice, and Gigi saying, I hear your concern, but I do not
Don't
share it,
share that.
and then destroying the Snatch game. I really think it did change how RuPaul approaches certain types of characters that people suggest.
But I feel like that gave some reality contestants too much confidence to the
Oh,
point where
always.
so many of them now are like, I think I know what I'm doing because
Yeah.
they've seen that works out. But
But
like,
it's more how RuPaul approaches. There are times where RuPaul sees a humor that is not hers, but I think has learned to identify that it could work, where she used to say it could not. And I think
yeah,
the Sat-Nav character, she was really saying to her, I hear that one is funnier. And so it was a bad choice for Gabriella, but that's fine. Really, it came down to, we've seen great stuff from Hollywood Star and Floor. We've seen such confidence, and they just blew it.
Two things.
Go.
Number one, the quote of the century is probably, that would not be a match in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's a match down here. Okay. Good for Rue being like, fuck you, producers. Number one. Number two, and I think this is maybe just like me wanting what I want, but I really want next Snatch game that Jimbo is on, Jimbo to be a Teletubby and be like, and these are my titties, like every 5 seconds.
This Snatch game was rough. There were two people who were actually kind of funny between Ashley Madison and Iris. It was some weird choices. Number one, I'm not really sure why Gabriella Labucci's first thought was, let me do a Wiggles character. That's one thing to do, like an out there reference, but regardless of anything, your job is to make RuPaul laugh. Forget what we think for half a second.
Real quick, if you look at the top row in order for a second, it kind of sounds like an Ava Max song. Labucci, Versace. It really is just hysterical.
But it's that I thought that was such a weird character choice because it's okay. What are you going to be volleying with? What do you expect to be volleying with? And I don't want to sit here and say Snatch Game is easy. No, Snatch Game is very hard. You're there for like an hour or two. Everybody gets asked these questions. It is really hard to not only come up with
on the whole time.
Yes, you have to be in character on the whole time. You have to understand, and there are times when you're trying to volley and RuPaul doesn't give you anything, but there are times where RuPaul literally throws the most underhand softball to queens. They do not hit it. They do not get it. I think some queens, because they have not watched any of the original Match Game, any of the new Match Game, they don't understand that it's not always about the answer itself being the joke. It's the build up around it. It's the what you say afterwards. It's not always what you write is meant to be funny. You have to kind of intermix. Again, very hard skill. It's probably one of the hardest challenges that I think Drag Race does distantly have. But it's also been around for a while.
I was going to say most consistent number of examples.
And I mean,
you can watch and learn.
Someone who talks about this on season 13, Denali talked about before going to Drag Race, understanding, okay, I'm on Drag Race, spent an entire day with another queen going over the character of Jonathan Van Ness and understanding how to, okay, this is how I yes and, this is how I should be responding, coming up with these things and literally prepping so hard, and they had a great performance.
Yep.
You can do that. You can prepare for Snatch Game. Like, if Bob the Drag Queen talked about this on a pit stop for All Stars 5. Alaska said this. If you're not the strongest at actual improv, write yourself jokes that you can always fall back on. Write yourself stuff if you know you're better at written comedy. Granted, if you're not good at either, it's whatever. But I was disappointed, and was disappointed with so many of these queens, and I was even more bewildered that there were people safe when I think Ashley should have won and her and Iris should have went to go in the back and chill, and everybody else should have been right on stage because it was not good. I
completely agree.
I don't remember who won which character.
Jesus won.
Oh, he did win. Okay.
Hold on.
I will say,
Golden Savior, I just want to point out that I have thought that some of the Snatch games that the two of you have been like, isn't that hysterical? I'm like, you must have had to have been there 4 years ago because literally there isn't a joke here. And so this was not worse than a bunch of the American Snatch games. I think Snatch Game is an overrated game because when a queen comes to play and it's broom, it's brilliant. but the number of imposters playing at Snatch Game is a joke. And
It's-
that's the issue with Snatch Game.
It has gone off the track, I think, in a lot of ways. And I do agree with you. I don't think this was I don't think this was worse than season 14, which had a similarly really bad one, and also like Willow didn't do well. Willow Pill, the funniest queen I think in the last few years, like somebody who just really knows her stuff and knows how to be funny and prepares. I don't think she did anything wrong. I think it just is not an easy challenge, and she froze, and they had a famously bad Snatch Game in season 14. I don't think season 15 was leaps and bounds better, and I don't think all of these girls were horrible. I think it was just there were only 7 for one thing, so that's a smaller.
That's a
crowd.
blessing.
Yeah, truly, because I don't think I don't think Ivory Glaze would have done that great, or Ivana Drink.
I would have loved to have seen Ivana only because
Me too.
I feel bad saying this, but if you're going to keep somebody around and then they're eliminated the next week, it kind of feels like, well, now I kind of want to see what Ivana would have done.
I agree.
I would have loved to have seen Rita Menu in this Snatch Game, but obviously she didn't come to play. So,
I mean, but will Cardi be good at Drag Race?
She was so resigned at that point, and it was really like
it was, I literally have nothing. This is a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where, like, when you see somebody in a bad role and you can see every minute that they're just giving, I'm in this role. What do you want?
I showed up.
I forgot that Snatch Game exists, and now I'm here.
I saw Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane and the producers, and every minute on that stage, they were Bialystok and Bloom, and it was incredible. And then I saw them in The Odd Couple, and for the most part, Matthew Broderick was really eager for the bathroom.
When you're 2 weeks in a row, your third week, you either really just come to fight and see if you can do it, or you're kind of scared and you're unsure of yourself and you start self-doubting. And if you don't have a great character, which she just clearly didn't, she had no options.
Did you hear that, Rita? He thinks you've got bad character.
I just think she had no options that she was even the least bit excited about. Cardi B is, if you have an Australian accent, I can imagine Cardi B being incredibly difficult to do.
Or really funny, just do it Australian. Hi, mate, I'm Cardi B.
I think that could have been
honestly,
really
that's
funny.
the character. You're Australian Cardi B.
Yeah.
Why
Born
even say
again,
I
back
have
out
a Cardi
again.
B is part of it. Why say I have a Cardi B? Because then, yeah, technically I have a Cardi B impression. I have an Albert Einstein impression. Any celebrity in the world, I have an impression.
Albert
Helen
Einstein
Mirren
in Snatch
impression.
Game. I would love Albert Einstein in Snatch Game.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree. It's also like a character you can really get draggy with.
Just
Jonah,
make it.
question.
Yes.
Record number of I almost said dance off for your pants off. Record number of lip syncs for your life.
In a total season,
Yeah.
I believe that is Jasmine Kennedy, who had to do 6 or 7.
Jesus Christ. At that point, you should get paid.
Were
for
some of those
being a
because of
professional
Lollapalooza,
dancer.
though?
Yeah, but that's getting to technicalities of a Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Um,
Otherwise, it's Cameron, right?
Okay, because Cameron only has 3. The max is 3. I don't think there's.
I'm not
no,
one,
no,
but
I'm
I
so
found
sorry.
the sound. I'm not at all a drag queen.
Coco Peru lip synced 4 times on season 5.
That's a busy dance card.
Because she lip synced again. Monica Beverly Hills, J. Jolie, Alyssa Edwards, and then Detox, where she went
Coco
home.
Montrese.
Coco Montrese. I said Coco Peru, didn't I?
You did. And I was like, yeah.
Close enough. Same person.
Yeah.
No.
Very
Again,
similar.
wait, who do I think looks just like Coco Peru?
Gigi
She didn't-
Good? I don't know.
Yeah, Gigi Good. I was about to say she
Yeah.
didn't win 14. I think Gigi Good looks
You mean
just
she didn't
like
win? She didn't win 12.
12.
12. Thank you. I watched them so out of order.
Yes, you
watching-
did. That's not. That. Don't worry about it.
I literally don't know how to count anymore. Everything's in base 6.
I will say, probably the funniest line this episode was Ashley getting an answer wrong and RuPaul saying that's not correct, to which he responded, "And I forgive you," that it was very funny.
Yeah.
I also thought what was really funny was, okay, well, I expect to laugh.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, Rue was just like, this was like, every now and then I think about how it must have been to watch Andre Agassi, like at the peak of his game, maybe McEnroe between punching things. Either of the Williams sisters make everybody else in this sport look like a chump. And then every now and then a drag queen will just serve a volley so fucking hard my face hurts. And I just think it's so attractive when Rue really is that sharp, because sometimes Rue, like, I love a good give him nothing. I do. I love a good give him nothing, right? Just
do it. Just
but-
give him nothing.
I think the thing that makes a give him nothing so delicious is when you give everything. And the last time I saw RuPaul sing live on a stage, and I just went into organ failure because I just proposed an impossibility. So I'm a little unsure of what I'm supposed to do when Mama gives us so little. And it can be a little tough sometimes, right? So it takes that dichotomy, it takes that balance of the nothing and the something. And yeah, I do think one of the things that's tough about Down Under is these challenges are not designed for these girls. I would love if the challenges were designed for perhaps Australian drag. I don't know anything about Australian drag. I just don't. I know a ton about, like tourism, mate, Australian culture, but like, I don't genuinely have a command of, the First Peoples of, either the Aboriginal tribe or the Maori tribe. I don't understand Oceania as a nation. I'm lucky that I understand New Jersey as a tax code. So, when we're looking at this bigger picture, one of the things I have to assume is much in the same way that New Jersey drag is significantly different than Californian drag. I have to assume that Australian and New Zealand drag is beautifully different than all of the ways that we celebrate American drag. And I think maybe something that I am seeing is that the season 2 and season 1 challenges veered a little grosser, veered a little dumber, but the queens had so much more fun. And I bet when they watch American Drag Race, they think ours are a little dumb and a little safe. And so I don't know. I think the real mistake this season is it doesn't seem like they're playing to any of the queens' strengths. It seems like they're playing to the format, and everybody loses when you're trying to produce a show, not quality.
And part of the problem is, and this is also becoming a burgeoning problem in the UK series, is because RuPaul is the host, you need to make your references and your characters and everything Americanized so that we can understand it, because that's who's the most important audience is the US, because that's where Mama Ru is from. But when it comes to the UK and Aussie, they don't really get to make these Kiwi or Aussie jokes. They don't get to make these New Zealand jokes. They don't get to make these Aboriginal
Just so
jokes.
much Kylie Minogue. That's it.
They don't get to make these references because RuPaul doesn't get them, and then when RuPaul does, it's RuPaul's show, and that's the only person you have to appease. It doesn't matter what we think, really. And it's, I don't know, it's a little sad and unfortunate that they can't even get very British. They can't get very Aussie. They can't get very New Zealand. They can't get very First Nation. They can't get anything because they have to appeal to RuPaul and RuPaul's sensibilities, which RuPaul doesn't understand these references. RuPaul barely understands UK references. I have no idea if RuPaul understands any Australian reference.
RuPaul
ever.
is a gift, but she doesn't know her own lyrics. I'm not coming to her like she's Encyclopedia Britannica. You know what I'm saying?
And
Well, and it's really unfortunate too because like in the UK, like originally it was supposed to be kind of Michelle's thing that Rue wasn't even going to do, and Michelle actually does get all those references.
Actually, and there her name is pronounced Michelle Visage.
She is a huge Anglophile and was really excited to do all this and, knows her stuff. And I always found it really unfortunate that, they don't have even room in the format for Rue to say, now I love being here, but I'm still learning all this. Like, I got into this because of Michelle. So Michelle's kind of the lead for UK, and in Australia you would maybe give it to Reese instead. There's so many options, but there's this idea that
Michelle, have you heard That Country You Like, England? It's in that play Hamilton.
There's this feeling that, like, if it's not RuPaul, and it's not even like it's worth less to the girls or to the show, it really is like a RuPaul's ego thing. Like, if she's not going to be doing it, is it even RuPaul's Drag Race? And, you know, I think in some ways you can say, well, of course it's not, and that's why Canada's Drag Race isn't called RuPaul's Drag Race Canada. But at the same time, Canada's Drag Race functions better in a lot of ways because they isolate themselves from Ru's nonsense.
And they got rid of that bully, Jeffrey Bauer Chapman.
That also really helped them because he was trying to be the RuPaul of that show.
Beautiful,
Right out of the
perfect,
country.
stunning man.
Also, for people, because I know you guys are more familiar to Kylie Minogue as entertainer, as a pop star, as this icon, much more than I am. Two things I very much noticed about this Night of 1,000 Kylie Minogues, from what I gather a little bit from my internet sleuthing. One, these weren't even really like some of the big hits.
No.
And two, actually three things. Number two, they did not pay for any of the rights for any of the photos.
Yeah. I did notice that. That was really disappointing.
No photo references because I imagined those photos were not free and they were not going to pay for them.
Yeah.
And three, again, we had another problem where we had so many similar costumes that at this point,
nothing really matters.
At this point, I just wanted to sign them. I am over the queens having
or get approval.
Or you get approval, something. Be like, someone sends it in first. You have to choose something else.
Yeah.
And that might suck, but I'd rather than be like, hey, I want to do this look, and then.
Can I actually riff on that? Because I think what you're both providing is something really beautiful, but I think something that is occasionally missed is, and just to put it out there, but can everybody name their favorite either Madonna or Paula Abdul or Cher song? Because I have a feeling one of those three, we're not going to name Believe or Turn Back Time or Vogue. I'm going to name Just Like Jesse James for Cher. I'm going to name Oh Father for Madonna. And yeah, I'm naming some deep cuts for these artists, but something that happens is we become resonant with the identity of these artists by their songs, right? And I think the problem here is that everybody's being told, you can do Vogue, you can do Like a Prayer. I want to see these queens told, you cannot do a song that entered the top 20 in any way. Do a failed Madonna single. And Kevo, I'm going to pitch to you in 1 second. I just want to highlight that this isn't a new idea. Joni Mitchell, who, for the record, in case you are wondering, in fact, never lie. Joni Mitchell released a greatest hits record called Hits. And the cover is her body dead on the ground, having just been hit by a car. And then she released all the singles that she wished had been more successful that weren't hits. And she called it Misses. And it's herself walking right past the car on the cover. And I just think that you can say, ladies, do Misses. Kevo.
And I think some of it's not even just like full misses and deep cuts and obscure songs. You know, when you were naming what were your favorite songs by those artists, if I had to pick a personal favorite Madonna song, it might be Beautiful Stranger because of what that song and its place on the Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me soundtrack meant to me when we were in 7th grade. And
co-written by the guy who wrote He Cries Your Name.
Cry Your Name, Muffle?
Yeah. Was co-written by William Orbit. Yeah. So I thought you'd like that.
You don't kill yourself if you're going to go to a Beth Orton concert. So, you know, it is also about what's personal, even if it is not what is obscure. And I think, you know, sometimes with this stuff, these performers just sort of throw crap at the wall because they think it might be popular or something. But you really need to be playing to your own strengths. And I really think the statement of, I could do Cardi B, and that Cardi B being such absolute nothing.
But I think the flip of that is Isis saying essentially the same thing about Donatella Versace and nailing it in a way that she didn't really nail Donatella Versace.
No, she was just funny Italian woman.
Which is
She
like
played it like Maya Rudolph's Donatella Versace.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
caricature. It's to make us laugh. Yes.
exactly, and so it's not. Anything is on the table. I think that's a really important thing to note about Snatch Game. There really are no rules in terms of like, we all know this doesn't work. We all know you can't
Flava
just say,
Flav broke all the
Listen.
rules.
Listen, rest in peace, rest in power, Chi-Chi DeVane's, Maya Angelou. I know why the Cage Bird sings an hour later out of context.
Yep, exactly.
And one of the things that I think is necessary to think about when you're talking about, and I feel so bad that we're not talking about this episode. We're talking about Snatch Game as an art.
Well, this episode, we did talk about this episode. Ashley
Yeah.
Madison comes in, slams, and then, of course, Rita has to go home. That's all there is to it. But you know that's happening before they even announce. Go.
I just need to say that Ashley Madison, you look so good considering that you were the lead singer in Erasure in 1989.
Truly
it is
well preserved.
A little respect to you, my dear. But I just need to point out that the thing about this season that I am most enjoying, that I just want to celebrate for a second, is every one of these queens is like one of those little little finger games we used to make with paper as a kid, right? I never know what my weird friends were going to put on those inside flaps. And I know that sounds like a weird analogy, but like that's what each one of these women is. Like they keep revealing these weird little pieces and like it's corner by corner. It's element by element. They're all coming together in a beautiful way. I think Hollywood Star would absolutely fucking punish an American season. Like it wouldn't even be funny. She is so extraordinary in my eye. I just want to give her the season. I am not even willing to entertain somebody else doing it. She's got to be in my finale. It would be a disappointment to not see her run that many episodes when she has, I don't know that she's got Jinx energy, but for what she serves, I think she serves fashion queen. I think she serves Violet energy. Nobody is Violet Chachki, who is like literally the most perfect physical woman. The only way she could be more perfect is she was Valentina. That is it. Literally the only way Violet Chachki could be more
Moving
perfect.
on.
Okay.
I will say about Hollywood, I enjoy her as a reality competitor, but especially this episode, we kind of saw a little bit of the cracks because her Naomi really wasn't that good. I don't think Naomi Campbell is a really strong Snatch Game choice. Shay did it pretty well in season 9. Shay did serviceably well, and had some pretty funny zingers. But when you see it once, okay, how are you going to make it better? What are you going to do? And she kind of felt like she had one joke and it didn't really pan out, and then had nothing.
And it's what's really insane is that she clearly knew that was a good joke, and it was. But for instance, she went in, she wanted to do Naomi. She didn't have the monologue about, well, you've asked me to be here. I didn't really even want to be here. This is a huge imposition for me, which is like one of the funniest Naomi Campbell moments related to her having to do the community service.
Oh my
and
God.
As soon as she said she was going to do it, I was so excited because I think that monologue is so funny.
So funny.
And I
So
thought
funny.
Hollywood Star totally got it. And, she's in there. I think RuPaul sets everything up, and I think she's about to hit it.
Is this
What?
a you had to have been there thing? Is this like you literally had to have watched her have this psychotic meltdown in front of the entire world when she was at one point considered like the Bo Derek most beautiful woman to be alive in her generation?
You and I watched it happen live. I am now watching the kids learn about, like, I see it on TikTok regularly. So I know, and that's why I thought this was happening, because I have seen that pass through my For You page multiple times. So I'm like, people are now seeing this clip of her in court.
I cried when I saw her on All Stars because like people just don't understand what a psychotic, incredible
she's
entity
bonkers.
she is.
And it's a lot of it documented. So I really thought that's what ultimately we were getting. And it was just that, to the surprise of She didn't have any of it. She didn't have a single line from literally hours of deposition in which nothing that Naomi Campbell says isn't funny and isn't like the unhinged ramblings of somebody who is too enmeshed in their own fame. She didn't have a single line from it. And that's where it's like, there are no rules with Snatch Game except that you have to have put in the work in some capacity. And just basically nobody did except for Ashley Madison. And you could flip a coin and, you know, like Isis didn't really seem to put in the work for Donatella Versace, but she seems to have put in the work for improv comedy.
And can I just ask, did somebody say, here's all you have to do for Charo? Act like you've never had Muzzy. Like,
Yeah,
because that was as somebody who, like, when Jonah was like, I know about Charo, I was like, you do not understand what Charo represents to Latina.
We barely understand at our
I
age.
mean, because we can't really understand what she's saying. That's fine. But like I will say, Floor looks stunning as Charo. You see the look, you know it's Charo. I don't know how you make Charo unfunny. Charo is very funny.
At this point, I mean, I guess maybe by the time they were filming, she hadn't been, like, they couldn't see season 15 with Charo, but she had been on Drag Race a couple other times. She's somebody who there's so much footage, and if you know you're going and you say, okay, I know I'm going to do Charo, it's literally 2 hours worth of watching footage and notes to have enough to know that, yeah, it's her responding with nonsense, and yeah, she never did coochie coochie. Like,
I don't like that's RuPaul loves that one.
Yep.
RuPaul literally brought her on stage in the season 5 finale for her to go, it's my coochie coochie, literally. Yep. I'm not.
So it was just really like nobody did the homework, and it was a real bummer. And yeah, Nico, back to your old point, it's still not one of the, like, I won't stick in my mind as one of the worst ones of all time. And unfortunately, I just feel like I really want RuPaul to do a special where she gets out onto a camera, and as she yelled at the season 7 girls, and I'm going to spoil a little something for you guys, but as she will eventually yell at the UK 2 girls.
Nope, I know that clip like the back of my hand, and I am very familiar with the back of my hand. I play piano.
Okay.
I don't want an H&M.
I really want her to get on stage and yell at every single queen who is considering applying for this show, and maybe the staff too. Like, we've all really fucked Snatch Game up, and it's time to figure this out. It doesn't have to do with doing Snatch Game of Love or,
I think they need to send them they need to send them a full season of the original Snatch Game, be like, watch this and understand what to do.
Yep, it's exactly that. It's really like, you have to take a test. You have to prove to me that you have done more than thought of a character you would like to do in drag. Prove to me that you've watched, your character, like, you've seen what them act in something, you've taken notes with their lines. Prove to me that you can do this, because we're just getting people who clearly have the best of intentions and love a look, they love an idea, but they have nothing when it comes to doing the research to make this happen.
Now, I don't want to cut our Drag Race down under.
No, I know, because we're 2 hours in. We got to talk about Project Runway.
We're actually not as bad as we can get sometimes.
I know, we're not.
Yeah,
and
this
is all super relevant. Like, this was such a good episode to illustrate that Snatch Game has gone off the rails, and we got to fix it.
And this is such a good episode to illustrate that fucking Project Runway has gone deeply off the rails, because back to back they've eliminated my number 1 and number 2.
Sorry.
I'm not normally someone on Project Runway. I normally don't really complain about production, and producers, and that hand that they have. I'm not someone that really like tries to make comment, because they're usually not bad. This episode, I was like, oh, they're really just kind of showing their ass, and I really felt like Kato was trying to, like, not call people out because she knows where she is, but also just kind of like, she kind of was over kind of like the rigory a little bit. You can tell that she was kind of a little, Corto was kind of a little bit done, and I don't blame her. It also feels like this is a very specific distinction compared to regular All-Star seasons, and even specifically comparative to All Winners, where the way that they treated those queens so much better, and they treat queens on All-Stars much better because you're coming back a second time around. They're usually quite a bit nicer with how they treat them. I don't know what it is about this season, but the judges are going in a way that I'm like, do you not like these people?
They kick them like they're Ferengis.
Yep.
They gave them a drinking lounge, but they kick them like they're Ferengis, and I don't know what to do with that.
There were just a couple of comments that the way that they're framing these critiques often just feels, I don't even want to say out of pocket. And there are times where I love, when they get a little snippy with them, or like a little more judgmental, a little harsh, a little punchy. But this season throughout it, they're like, it's unbecoming of how they kind of treat some of them.
And it's all over the place too, because sometimes they really will be to the same person 3 episodes prior will be like, you are beautiful. We see you working so hard. This is so inspired. And then, a little time goes by, that person doesn't really get any critiques. And then it's, I'm just so surprised to see this. It was terrible. I don't think you understand anything.
And it always seems like it's week to week, and it's opposite to opposite. It's like, your skirts are just too short, and I don't know why you're cutting them so short. Listen, I like a demure skirt, but it just seems like this length, it's 3 inches too long, and you get 4 inches too short. And then the next week, they're like, listen, that skirt, it's just not the right length. It's like the perfect length. You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly the right length the skirt should be. But like when I'm looking at it on your model, I'm like, I just wish she were dead.
Wrong.
And that's even what Coteau was kind of getting at, saying like, hey, you gave me this critique one week, and then you gave me the exact opposite critique the next week. It feels like you're kind of giving me too many directions that are going out there. And I did at least appreciate that Elaine was like, I do appreciate you bringing us that attention. Maybe we're not critiquing in a way that's you can apply it better. Maybe there's a way that we can phrase it better, and I at least appreciated that point. But like, I truly do not blame Coteau, because she kind of just seemed over it the entire episode, and I don't blame her.
I mean, without Anna to attack, who was she left to get her energy?
Production.
This really became an episode for me that illustrates how harsh the internet, the entertainment industry, and reality TV especially is for people of color, in a way that is like insanely cognitively dissonant, because the whole point of this episode starts with Elaine Welteroth, a woman of color, bringing them all in and saying, we are asked, and she says women, and I thought it was very odd that she also doesn't say and people of color, we are asked to be multiple things at once. We are told we are too loud, and then we're too quiet. We're too this, and we are too that, and that is such a true thing, and I think if you are any kind of minority, you experience that, but if you are a woman of color, that is your entire life. You will walk into a space and be too aggressive, and then you'll pull it back and you're not assertive enough. And Coteau became such a victim of that in a way that was just like, are we all insane? Like, is this such a degree of gaslighting? And, she is kind of angry. She's pretty angry. And now is she going to be called the angry black woman on TV?
I don't think she can be, when her last words were, be blessed. You were all the prize. You were all the gift. I don't know, man.
If a white woman got up and did the monologue about how her stuff was all perfect, I think we would all be like, that was
that's
weird.
Taylor Swift.
I don't know.
If
Britney had been eliminated and said,
I have
like,
Coteau blinders. I have Coteau blinders.
I do too, and I think
can't
you
even
should
hear any word. Like, the judges.
I was put off by it
wrong.
though. I was put off by it because I just feel like she has been very sharp this season, and I feel like even if it's not I don't necessarily even think it's all on her, but she and her response to this season is really exposing how haphazard it was. There's this line that she says in this episode where she says something akin to, "You called me for my aesthetic," and the way that she presents being invited to this program and her place in it as though it's not the competition that it is was a really jarring presentation of the situation of reality television. And I think her reaction to it, I think the judges and the way they have been behaving all season is really exposing a lot of the cracks in this program in general.
So, I mean, I hear you say that you're not, I mean, I literally hear you saying it was her negativity that threw you off, not her quality, not her character.
No.
It was just the severe reaction to this tough season. Jonah, I see you had something wound up for the pitch.
And it's something of note. I'd have to go through. I'm not as well versed into the specific placements of everybody on Project Runway comparative to like Drag Race. Drag Race has a lot. Every queen will be memorable in some way, shape, or form, no matter how many seasons they appear on. On Drag Race, on Project Runway, I'm not even kidding. You will forget who goes home, like the first 7 episodes, because sometimes they're
that's been my experience.
They're not the most big TV personalities because they're there to compete. They're there to actually compete and be a designer.
You better work.
Kato is, I think, and she mentions it. She's one of the only contestants in both seasons, her original season and All Stars, to make it to the finale twice. The only other people who I think that happens with are the returning winners, who then win their respective All Star seasons. It's almost an accomplished feat, and also kind of unfortunate that they kept dangling that prize in front of her twice. It was just one of those things where I see this person again, I'm going to try to remove the Kato blinders just a little bit. I guess I saw this person who was expected, I think maybe even expected to do a little bit better, to have a little bit better of understanding of her point of view as a designer, where she gets her influence from, what her clientele is, what she's trying to showcase. And the judge is not really responding to it. They showed this clip earlier, but the previous week, Brandon saying to her and whoever else was safe that episode, yeah, it was a little safe. I probably would be really hurt by that too.
If I may provide context, because the context is even really important. She was told, you're because
you're in.
I think
they said
you're in
a little safe,
and
though.
she was fine and she was going off, and he threw it off as she was departing, as this like departing shot that I specifically felt the presentation was even in its place so inappropriate. He didn't even say it while they were still saying things. He kind of lobbed it at her, but like as she's retreating, and the way it was said, a little safe though, was so inappropriate that I do see where she's coming from, in that you didn't need to dig. You didn't need to throw that dig in there. And it was just such a weird way to do it.
And you should have at least found where the cable lines were first.
And I haven't seen a ton of seasons with Brandon Maxwell, but he has come off that way to me very much throughout. Very school teacher that is so annoyed that all of his students aren't more impressive to him, that he likes to gets off a little bit on the power of being able to shoot down people that are clearly working very hard, that he's annoyed when things are not the way that he wants them to be, not in any way that is somebody has not lived up to their potential. He just doesn't like it. And so he kind of seems to take it out on them. I think that is a really perfect example. And, again, like Kevo, I felt the same way about Kato's monologue, but when I kind of took the whole episode in as a whole, rather than being bothered by her, I was bothered that she got put in a place where she was feeling like that. And again, my thought was like, I think if a white woman gave that same monologue, I would be like, oh God, look at her go off again.
A white woman? No! Typical!
I feel like I'm trying to figure out how to have grace for all of these people as competitors while also really noticing that the show I don't really think has been nearly as kind and as fair to its contestants of color as it ought to be. And again, like little things like although I goddamn love the Golden Girls is an amazing line.
I goddamn love the Golden Girls.
I felt a little bit like the way that Bijmi and Prajay were treated this episode was a little bit like
Bijmi, the most perfect husband material in the entirety of reality television.
truly fantastic. And the other weird the episode critiques were very odd. It was clear that Kato got the worst ones and was going home, but then they kind of like randomly, even though the critiques weren't bad, tried to play it off as though anybody in the bottom 3 did noticeably badly.
And
Which is such a juxtaposition from last week, where they went so soft on Karasan during the critiques, and then we're like, "Up, you're going home."
You gotta go.
What? Jonah.
I don't want this to be my narrative, and I'm sure she's a lovely person, but me talking about production, the judges in production are very infatuated with Brittany in a way that
Yes.
I'm really not resonating with. I don't really get. I do
I'm not
think
against her, but I don't see the story.
I just want to say to them, it's Britney, bitch.
I really do not think her garment this week fit the criteria. It's one of those. It's the thing in All Stars 2. Jeremy, previously Fifi, talks about when they say to Alyssa Edwards, it's not really what we asked for, but it's you, so we love it. It's kind of what they told her. That's what they told Brittany this week. It's not really modest, but it's you, so we love this. Was it a great look? Sure. I want to point to one of my favorite designers that came from this show, season 16 finalist Ayana, who proved and showed that you can do modesty in this chic, beautiful way. That
biggest fashion queen the show turned out in an era.
The most creative minds to come from the show and to showcase that you can stay true to your ideals, and if you want to dress the modern chic, modest woman, you can. There's a clientele, and you can make her fashionable, and that's where I wanted Brittany to go to, in a direction similar to what Ayana does. It was just the moment I realized, oh, we're making a reality show, and that's what it is, and that's fine. It's whatever, but I don't really appreciate it, especially when it's someone that I do enjoy, someone like Kato getting slighted and kind of getting shafted and kind of getting put on the back burner for weeks on weeks on weeks, and then I get her frustration. I too, some of the queens, when queens get mad at being safe on Drag Race, everyone loves to roll their eyes. But when it happens week after week and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because you don't. You're like, I guess I'm doing well enough to get by, or I didn't do that bad. Having that critique of, okay, this is the direction I kind of need to go. This is what I need to work on. This is I need to change. This is what they love. Having that feedback is how you get people to grow and how you get them to flourish in a competition. It felt like the judges in production didn't really care what Kato did. And that's fine, but then don't sit here and tell me this is an all-star season where you handpicked everybody, because you didn't treat everybody like the kings and queens that they are. The kings, queens, and royalty that they are, I should say.
Now, I can't help but agree, Jonah. That is such a great note to go out on for Project Runway, and kind of the whole episode. We have run an amazing gamut from Crime Scene Kitchen to a look at some of our favorite scripted programming, like the upcoming Ahsoka, the recently released Solar Opposites, or the in production of release. What is the in releasing? The seasonable Only Murders in the Building. And from there, we took a look at Drag Race Daranda, and we took a look at Project Runway All Stars, season 20 of the main narrative. But TK, you had a pitch for us, and I find myself incapable of disagreeing.
What?
What pitch are we talking about?
TK thinks we should start watching Drag Race Mexico, and I think that would be the right decision for our family.
Yeah. Oh no, we're definitely watching Drag Race Mexico. We don't have to cover it as much on the show. We can talk about that behind the scenes, but it's on the server already. I have previewed a little bit of it. I think.
I love that you're trying to say it's his idea. You know why you want to watch it. You know why you goddamn want to watch it. Shut up.
Nico wants it for Valentina, and of course
the most beautiful woman who has ever been on the planet, like
and
literally the most perfect woman.
Don't put it on your brother. Put it on your older brother.
I just have to say it's Drag Race Mexico. It is not RuPaul's Drag Race Mexico. And when they started up and they pan down to the workroom, who's got the giant face poster hanging up?
No way! Oh my god, this sounds like my nightmare
I mean,
world.
it's
I'm
not
so
Mother.
excited.
It is fully Valentina.
It's mommy.
And she fully is like this.
Is it Brooklyn in Canada though?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It's a little. It is very understated in Canada at first.
Well, because it's Canada.
right. This Valentina moment is
That's
fantastic.
how
So
Jeffrey
anyway,
got kicked off.
right off the bat, I think
So
I can
hungry for
see
this now.
all of you loving certain aspects of this show. I think you've now seen regular Drag Race All Stars, UK, Down Under. Mexico is obviously not an English-speaking country, but it is our neighbor to the south. There is a lot of overlap in culture. But then there are a lot of things that are so different about the drag and so different about Spanish-speaking drag for every country. And I'm just really excited for you to see it.
I just need to comment that Valentina is the most perfect woman to ever be alive. Ever, bar
This
none.
is how he feels, people.
She is literally flawless. I love
He
her
is
so
not
much.
joking.
This is not a
I
joke.
am-
This is
I
happening.
am weird
This is
about
not
Valentina.
satire.
This is
Yeah.
our lives.
It's frustrating for them, I'm sure.
Ow,
But she's perfect. She's literally perfect. She's also the most evil creature to ever live, and I'm sure of it.
Listen,
But
in her little coconut head, this fantasy she's living.
and I still think the greatest moment in television history is The Mask, and the second greatest moment in television history is Shea Coulee's imitation of Valentina. I just can't. I can't. Listen,
And the third
don't
is,
love
so you think
me.
I could go home tonight?
oh my god, it's the greatest moment. Okay.
That was when I cemented myself as a Valentina fan, as somebody
Yeah, you
where
gotta.
Valentina understands reality television.
I fell in love
she
with
really
her mom.
does.
Okay.
And so for her to be the RuPaul of a whole country's Drag Race franchise is correct.
Can
And
you
it's
imagine how proud she is of herself right now and every choice she made?
truly?
All right,
yes.
all of you Ferris, shut up because this is not us ending the broadcast.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta
All
go.
right.
Now
Okay.
you are all just simping for Valentina. This
And-
is what she wants.
And we're giving it to her.
She's
She
won.
deserves it.
Give her everything.
She didn't win a crown twice. Let her have this.
It's done.
I want to pivot to a slightly different topic,
yeah,
right? And it's an important topic.
I love a good topic.
But we got a bunch of stuff to cover in the upcoming weeks. Keva,
Yeah.
would you kick us to that beautiful board you so
I gotta update our board.
Yeah, we've covered most of this.
well? I do believe Kevo, bottom second. I do believe that's coming soon, is it not?
Yep.
Which one?
Lower decks.
Second. Yeah.
September 4th, I
TK. No, TK, you will love this bit of math, but it actually comes out on the 7th day of the 9th month.
I wonder if they saw that and thought we have a campaign here, but then didn't do the campaign.
Oh my God, it's coming out 7 of
People
9.
do the campaign for you. You don't have to do it. You just put
It's
it
true.
there, and the
Listen.
fans will figure it out for you.
Kevy, tell him how many Voyager we've watched in like 2 weeks, just because we want to
Ooh,
make him
we're
a big brother
on-
crowd.
Yes, we do. We are watching approximately like a disc at a time. We're watching like 3 to 4 when we can, sometimes more.
Love
We're on season 3. We're almost at the Ed Begley Jr., Sarah Silverman episode
it.
of
Oh
Star
my
Trek,
god.
which is a
Which-
fun sentence to say.
Which leads into some time travel shenanigans that truly fit in really importantly into my second temporal Cold War pitch.
Meanwhile, I want to say earlier today, speaking of great sentences, TK was telling me that there's going to be an exchange between Christian and Project that is so Nico. And I'm like, wait, is it this exchange? And he goes, no, it's the second or third exchange. And I just thought to myself, there's never been a more JRPG sentence in the entire history of the world. No, I don't mean that exchange. I mean the second or third time the person talks to
Go
the
back and
NPC.
come again and talk to them again, and now go back and talk to them a third time, and then that language cue will come up.
So, Jonah, you have been a dream, a pleasure, and oh, so much more. Not just the fuzziest Muppet in the world, but an incredible part of this show, and we love you so much. Where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me all over at the handle at Peak Jonah.
Nope, that had Jake in it. We also love Jake, but Jake was not here today.
We also love Jake, but Jake was not here
Hi,
tonight.
Jake.
And until you reach down to take Jonah by the handle, we can't wait to see you next time. Kevo, you are such an incredible producer. Those who might not have caught the very beginning of this broadcast, I was away gamping this weekend, and so I got home like I literally walked in the door, we turned on the television, and we watched TV until we broadcasted. We pushed the broadcast back an hour, so I had time to watch Down Under, right? So, Kevo, you are not just the world's greatest partner, but you are such an incredible producer, and you pulled this
And-
whole thing together in an hour.
In your defense, I wasn't really working any harder than you were this weekend. I watched Red, White, and Royal Blue 3 times since it debuted, and I was mostly just chilling around.
What a flag it. Okay.
Huge flag it. Definitely going to make us talk about that on this show. Tori would kill me if I didn't. But I was also working on this bit of art for us, which was, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, the video footage from our panel at FlameCon, where we had the amazing Demanda Martini and played a fabulous round of deal breakers. So definitely check that out. Yeah. Where can everybody find me? You can find me mostly here. This is mostly my social media. All of my time goes to this program, but ostensibly, you should be able to find me on social medias at Kevoreally. That's Kevoreally. My twin and lapsed social media, TK. Where can everyone ostensibly find you on the socials?
Ostensibly, I would be at TK Elemental.
You're on the tweets. You
I
do
am
the
on
tweets, but you're
I'm trying to sky
And
the
the
blue.
Blueski.
Yep. I'm trying to do. I'm bouncing both of those out.
you're as bad as me at the gram, though. We need to get on top of that.
Yeah, I truly am. No,
We're
pictures.
so handsome.
Teddy, not Lindsay.
And I just
We're
don't
so
trust-
handsome.
I don't trust Zuckerberg though. That's the real problem. But Nico, where are you?
Well, since I'm no Zuckerberg, you can find me giving all my money to Musk. I'm kidding, mostly on Blue Sky, but not really anywhere but this show as well. Social media is hard, you guys.
It's this. We are in a bad era. There's this. There's the strike. We got to figure our stuff out. We got to come back much stronger.
Do you guys remember when the best soap opera on television was Point Pleasant? I mean, I'm from right by Point Pleasant, so it worked for
No.
me. But
I don't, because
I
that
remember
time
when
didn't
it was
exist.
Passions.
no, it was never.
We had to
can save
explain
your-
passions to Jonah.
Yeah, we had to be like Timmy and the three-winged owl card, and like Tabitha, and like we had to explain it all. And then
There was
on
a
Roland.
Is that the one
gorilla
with the
that was
puppet?
in love.
Yeah, there was a gorilla. You were saying?
That was in love with a man, and they would do elaborate gorilla fantasy scenes of the gorilla having a romance with this like fully studded out Latino man. This is the greatest soap opera of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
I gotta go.
Maybe we'll cover it. Who knows?
No, we won't. But listen, until we don't cover passion.
We're covering Passions now.
Well, I'm impassionate on that. Anyway, listen, it has been an incredible time spending 2.5 hours with you guys. This is my absolute literal favorite time of week. Please don't tell Saturday. Please don't tell Wednesday. But the Sunday broadcast where we talk TV is absolutely my shit. So until next time, you guys have 3 responsibilities. Number 1, you got to stay safe. Super necessary. Number 2, you got to be brave. Get out there. Do something you've never done
If you
before.
can change your fate, would ya?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Turn your siblings into bears.
No, I like my feet.
True. And then the last thing you got to do, you got to evolve daily. You got to wake up one morning and say, I am Senator Kelly and I'm going to turn into jelly.
Get gills, bitch.
Get gills,
it.
bitch.
Do it.
Do it. And until we return to all become aquarium creatures,
The
stay
shape
Learn
of
to breathe
water.
smoke.
Be brave, stay safe, evolve daily. Don't eat shit and die. Kevo, get us out of this.